Here we go. And good evening from the club at Autzen Stadium. The Danny and Justin radio program is on the air live at the club as Justin's going to... Well, here we go, folks. You get to see us live and in living color, and as soon as Justin sits down, he'll don the headset and he'll join us. Hi, partner.
Hey, how's it going, Dan?
You know what? It's going to be a beautiful, wonderful thing as we've got the draft, as we're going to show you all the different little scenes. There's where the folks are going to start streaming in. That's what it looks like from the club at Autzen. We're going to have guests. They will be sitting right over there next to us. And then we are sitting here live, ready to go and bring you Draft 2025, as the first pick is going to be coming in soon, as Roger Goodell is now introducing himself, and without booze, but you know, he's helping himself out because he's got Clay Matthews up on the stage with him in Green Bay, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, well, certainly for the Packer fans, they're not going to be booing. Hey, man, Max Crosby. Crosby. I'm forgetting his first name now for some reason. Not Matt. Longtime Packers kicker Crosby, who I'm forgetting his first name. Mason Crosby.
I was going to let you struggle for 2 more seconds, and then I'm going to.
And then there's Lil Wayne up there too. That's cool.
So what we've
known Packer fan.
So what we've got going up here at the club at Autzen Stadium is it's a VIP event. We've got a lot of former Ducks. We've got current Duck players. We've got some that are probably tweeners in the draft, but not a lot of them. Kenyon Barner is going to be the MC. We're going to have at least George Reister on, but we're hoping that we're going to be able to have some time with Chad Cota, Chase Cota, father-son that came and played here. TJ Ward's in the house. Dino Filiaw is here. Brady Breeze is here. Dante Rosario is here. It goes on and on. Bobby DeBishop, back in the 80s, played for the Ducks. Camden Lewis just graduated. He's here as well in person at the club at Autzen Stadium as we get ready for the 2025 draft. And the Tennessee Titans are on the clock. They have had a lot of suitors for this pick. They have said, no, we are not going to trade it away. And the consensus is that Cam Ward is going to be the guy to be taken off the board first.
Yeah, he's the overwhelming favorite to go number 1. And I think he made a great decision to go and play another year of college. He thought about coming out last year. Might have been maybe the 4th quarterback taken, but this year he's by far away the number 1 pick just because of his status as the heralded as the best quarterback. And we'll see what happens with the other quarterbacks in this draft. I think that's going to be one of the main storylines that I'm looking at. But I think Cam Ward's a good player. I've always liked Cam Ward. He actually was kind of in talks to come to the Ducks at one point, right? During his transfer from Washington State, it was at least being talked about.
There was a slight discussion, and it probably happened for like half a minute, and then it went
turned
away
to Dylan Gabriel very quickly.
So the Titans are on the clock. It's a 10-minute clock for each team to get their pick in. And sometimes you'll see that clock run all the way down to 0, and then all of a sudden a trade's announced.
Have we seen more? Has it happened once or twice? Where I know the Vikings missed their pick one time, and they actually had the Ravens pick afterwards. So I know that's happened at least one time. You're not familiar with this?
I don't see that happening this year.
No, it's not going to happen this year.
Even though they have said that it is a just fair to Midland draft, and we've got some Duck fans that are sliding in. As we are live on you. Have you tweeted out that we're live right now? Tweet it out that we're live right now so we can get some folks on the air. And don't do anything stupid, guys. We're on YouTube right now. It's my buddy Adam Oblak and my boy Tommy Meyer. We got to figure out how that works. That's for your lovely wife, by the way. You have a bag to take home. So there you go. We can catch up with you guys as we are live on YouTube right now. Enjoy yourselves as the gang is all starting to flow on in here. The Danny and Justin radio program live from Autzen Stadium at the club room. Well, like I said, we're going to have guests that will be flowing throughout. And what a great event. The Oregon Club has typically had a signing day event. And signing day has kind of turned into just another day, it seems. And it is important, but the old time where it would be faxes would start coming in at midnight and the excitement started brewing and you would start hearing the players that were getting signed and their letters of intent that would come out. it's kind of been a slow roll, and letter of intent day is just kind of more the formality now anymore. And with the transfer portal and so many changes and movements that can go throughout after the postseason ends and such, and now we have another one in the spring. It seems like this is a better event, a more celebratory event for Oregon fans, for Oregon State fans, as well as they will be watching the draft board tonight to celebrate the team in this way, to watch the kids that are going on to the next level.
Well, it's the final goodbyes, right? And players that have spent time as Ducks, we know them as Ducks, they'll be drafted as Ducks. So it makes sense. I think that it's a good decision. And, you know, the draft has been pushed later and later as well, I think, throughout the years. And now they've obviously made it this, what is it going to be, 3 days still?
3 days. Checked. Yeah, it's going to be 3 days in Green Bay. It'll go all the way through Saturday, as it'll just be the first round tonight. And by the way, again, want to remind you, as we're live here on YouTube, and I think you're going to push that out to the guys.
I'm working Twitter right now.
Would you just concentrate on that? And I'll do some of the talking here. Cam Ward, the consensus as the #1 pick, and we think he'll go to Tennessee. And then after that, it's going to be interesting. Cleveland will be on the clock next, with Travis Hunter being probably the best fit for them. But Abdul Carter is a very serious candidate to go to any of the teams 2 through 5, and it will be interesting to see where he drops or where he ends up going to. Offensive tackles are always a prime commodity. The running back position, and Ashton Jeanty is the consensus #1 running back throughout the entire draft. So we'll see how that looks, as well as the teams will now put themselves in a position to see who is going to be the future for them in this year's 2025 draft. So I know we're going to have some Duck players as well. We're going to take a quick break when that first pick will come in. The first pick will come in just a few moments here on the Danny and Justin radio program, live from the club room at Autzen Stadium. I'll get you. All right, bud. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Okay, so the tricky thing is his headset's not going to be working yet unless we haven't used it. Yeah, you haven't used it right now. You're only going to be able to hear it in one ear. That's all right, man. I just went over and said hi to him. Okay, good. So are you okay not hearing?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. Send it out to...
We are live on YouTube, the Danny and Justin radio show here from the club room at Autzen Stadium, and we're welcoming in our first Duck as Rowan McKinley joins us. And so when you think back to the way this day or this night was for you, we asked Kenyon, who was in with us earlier this week, and he said his agent said, don't watch the draft. Don't watch it. And so the first thing he did was he turned on the draft. So what was it like that night for you?
Man, the draft was interesting. I'm like, especially, we think, okay, maybe late, somewhere in day 2, day 3, we think everything's going to go wherever. And then, as the draft just kept going, nobody called. And so it was kind of weird. That's like the best way to put it, because you're like, all the work you've put in and all the production you had that, was kind of hard to measure compared to everybody else. And it was like, it's just one of those things where, I didn't really know. It was a very weird time.
How important is support for you? I mean, the support staff, your family, coaches and the first pick is in. So you think Cam Ward number 1?
Without question.
Best player in the draft?
I'm not gonna say best player. I think Cam Ward's a baller. Like I think he would have been picked highly last year as well. I know some people don't agree with that, but I think baller.
And he just got picked by, no surprise, Tennessee Titans, who got a lot of offers for this pick. They decided they're not going to pick it up and trade it away. So they've got what they think is their quarterback of the future in Cam Ward. So again, back to the support staff, because especially when you're sitting and you're waiting and you're anticipating and you want this to be that next step, how important is it or was it to have those people around you?
Super important. At a time like that, there's nothing you can really say to somebody. Like no matter who you are, like even Kenyon goes later, and Kenyon had the production.
Mm-hmm.
And in a time like that, there's nothing you can do but wait and figure out your next steps. Excuse me. Thankfully, the support staff prior and even current, it's just like it's about how you are going to attack the next phase. Like thankfully, I was able to go to Miami. People put out these offers as the draft's going on. The later you get into the draft, people start calling like, hey, if you fall through, we want you. And then they start talking numbers and whatever it may be. And for me, it was about going to the best situation. Like all you need is opportunity. No matter how you get in, it's about getting in. And when you get in, you want to stay in. And so when we got to Miami and having that support from different people, and it's like, let's go full head of steam. It's like a play. If a bad play happens, you can't dwell on it. You got to get ready for the next play. And so that type of mentality going into the draft and going into, mini camps and all that is kind of the approach I had.
I just want to say for the record, I was shocked you didn't go in like the third round.
We said this on the show today.
I wanted you in like the third round to go to the Packers. I'm not going to lie. But you had a great senior season. Obviously some big moments against Ohio State, great season for the team as well as yourself. How important was it for that fit to go to Miami?
Man, it was important because at the time it was a Patriots type of system defensively. And so funny enough, through, the film study I did all the way, pretty much starting from COVID all the way through, I always knew like the Patriots play with a lot of defensive backs. So that gives you a lot of opportunity to somehow get on the field. They're using 6, 7 defensive backs, 8, like you can go and find your way. And so with Javon being there and some other people on the staff, I was like, this would be a good opportunity to have somebody I'm familiar with next to me that I've played a lot of good football with, as well as being in the right system and opportunity. And so that was a big piece of it. I mean, like you said, like I was already shocked, and it was just nothing else mattered. At that point, the draft is over. There's nothing we can do to change it. So it's like, what am I going to do to put myself in position to be successful in this league?
And how helpful was that to have Javon with you?
Super helpful. It's funny. I was talking to somebody else about it the other day. Like if I don't have Javon, I still think I would have found my way, but I think I got a little accelerated because Javon had already gone through his rookie year, and even he's back in the same system. So picking up the playbook, that extra time. I lived with him for a good amount of time. Like having that guy, I mean, he's already one of my best friends off the field. So having that connection and that person there to just help me, guide me a little bit throughout these different things was super helpful.
Ron McKinley joining us here as the Cleveland Browns are now on the clock with the second pick. Some people say Travis Hunter is that guy that could be next off the board as the number 1 pick goes.
They traded it.
They just traded it?
The Jaguars traded
to
the Browns.
The Browns.
Wow.
The Browns traded away the number 2 pick. And look at you
breaking
the news. If they trade the number 2 overall pick to the Jaguars, not sure what they gave up for it. The Jaguars did, but do you think they move up because they want to get Travis Hunter?
He's got to be that Abdul, right?
Or Abdul Carter. See, this is where we start playing the little chess now. We have the first move, and it's in the second pick.
So the Jags, it's always interesting because it's for me, it's a new regime, but like seeing how this league kind of works, do you want to pair Trayvon Walker with Abdul Carter? Because that'll be within the past 3 drafts, you take 2 edges.
Right.
It's always different. I personally was interested. Okay, so here's
the trade. So
they gave up a second and a fourth.
And a first-round pick in 2026. Wow. So that's a big move.
So therefore, the Jaguar, it wouldn't, for me, it doesn't make sense to not go best available.
So you got to go Travis Hunter.
So it's still Travis or Abdul Carter. It's a matter of which one they want. But other than that, you can never have, the edge position is so prominent right now. And like they're paying a lot of money for edges. Like I've talked to my agent about this before. Edges, think about all the edge rushers now and D linemen that are making more than $20 million. And then look at the corners or DBs that are making 20 plus. Kenyon Barner, ladies and gentlemen. Wait till y'all see our pod. Wait till our pod comes out.
Oh,
We have
what?
some
He's got
gems in
another
there.
pod coming.
Me and
Man,
him.
that man is the busiest man in show business. He's
For
bigger
sure.
than James Brown when he was doing his thing.
But yeah, that's wild.
And
that
the
that
Eagles
happened.
just won the Super Bowl based off of a great defensive line. I mean, they just kept on throwing, pass rushers at Patrick Mahomes. They couldn't do anything about it. So
Nothing
I
they
think
could
going
do.
D lineman, you couldn't go wrong, right? I mean,
Moving up.
choice
And
with
what's
these two.
interesting is that you were at 5, so you obviously have somebody you think that was going to come off the board before it fell to you.
My sleeper pick is Ashton Genty.
really?
You don't think a running back would have fallen already to them at 5, though? You think somebody else had him in the? Well, we'll see. I mean, we're going to sit here through the pick.
That's my
Okay.
my dark horse
Okay.
is to him to go a little early. But
Well, they're showing Travis on the screen here.
With
Pick
his
is in.
bright pink suit. So, what's life like now for you? I mean, where are you at?
So I'm back in Dallas. Of course, I did my 2 years with Miami.
Right.
I was with Arizona for camp. So it's at this point, it's seeing what's next. Like we have the draft, and now it's gonna be like people are gonna kind of address some needs that they have. And then for somebody in my position, okay, we see that which teams are interested, get in, whatever it may be. Now, if that were to not happen, potentially, I've always wanted to go the media route. I've always wanted to, the coaching and even the new thing within the GM stuff in college. So it's just a matter of figuring everything out. Like I said, I want to play football. I've been staying in shape.
So that's
all
the
of
next
that.
question. I mean, you still got that mindset, and you've got the body, and you've got the drive. You're working out like I'm going to go play somewhere next year.
100%. And, it's about staying ready. But over the course of my years, even in school, how I've always wanted to be prepared. So, I 100% want to keep playing. I keep wanting to do it. I think I have the physical and the mental to, be an impact on a team. But, sometimes those decisions aren't up to me. And so you just got to roll with the punches.
Well, you got to give it up to God and let
at
there's
that
the
guy.
picks in. So we're going to
Look at that guy about to do the pick.
Yeah. Ooh, that is a big human being.
It's a former
right there.
Duck.
Oh, yeah, it is. All right. So this is the Jacksonville Jaguars pick, which is in. And right now, the Giants are next, and then New England will pick 4th as Cam Ward's already off the board. As Roger Goodell's up at the mic, we can't put him on the air because that would be some violation that YouTube would probably kick us off and put us in a corner on. But we'll find out. This is they're also bringing up, I believe, the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominees. And in this case,
Armstead.
Yeah, Eric Armstead is up at the microphone, and he'll be introducing the pick here. So as this is coming in, and I'll let you react as it comes in, what does Oregon mean to you? And obviously it means a lot because you're back here and you're helping these guys, the next generation, celebrate. And you're not that far removed from that generation, sir. So, but what does coming back here mean to you? And what does this place mean to you?
Man, it means everything. Of course, I've been around Dan a lot. I've been around Tosh a lot, the coaches. But, man, I feel like I grew up in this place. Like, I'm from Texas. That's pretty far from home. There weren't really direct flights even into Eugene at the time. And ever since I committed back in July, going into my senior year, I made a decision to come up here and create my own legacy and be different and try and do new things. And so when I look back on the 4 years I was here, I feel like I did that. I felt like I really left everything out there. I think that last year was a big testament to everything leading up to that point. And this place to me, man, is like the most special place on the planet. It's different. It's like a place you can come and decompress. Like it means everything. And I just want to continue to help build this program. Like we need a national championship.
Oh, yeah.
And how did you see the program change throughout your time when you were here?
It just kept evolving. And, it's crazy because I had, 3 different defensive coordinators. I played corner, played nickel, played safety, different position coaches. But at the end of the day, we took Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter.
The culture is always going to continue to change and evolve, but it's going to continue to grow. And so people do things differently. But at the end of the day, the end goal is to build up young men as well as win lots of football games and win a national championship. And so from Mario Cristobal's to Dan Lanning, it's the same thing of people just trying to grow and evolve this beautiful school and continue to help it grow and become a national champion.
Right.
So Travis Hunter off the board, obviously.
Crazy.
How do you think he's going to handle as both a two-way guy?
Let him try it. If it doesn't work, then you just pick, but why not let him try it?
Right.
So,
bro, thank you very much for your time, buddy. Best of luck to you.
Appreciate it.
All right, there we go. As we will roll duck after duck into the big chair. Yeah, Dante, come on, bud. Come on around the side. Dante Rosario, the big man, is going to come join us here, as now we've got Travis Hunter's off the board. He's headed to Jacksonville, where we had our first big trade. And here's the big man and a local boy, Dante Rosario, joining us. Man, you just look like you can get out there and put the helmet on and go for it again.
I've been trying to keep in shape. I'm still working on it, though.
So welcome to draft night. I mean, so can you take your – I'm going to ask every former player that sits here, what was going through your mind that night?
You know what? Honestly, I was very much at peace. I was, anticipating and hoping that I would get drafted, but also I found myself reflecting on all of the steps and all of the hard work that I had done to get to that point. And when I say I was at peace with things, I was happy with the progress that I had made, and just kind of like left it up to the universe to, see what happened next. And then when I actually did get the call, and I was chatting with my wife, I was like, I got to remember this because this was a while ago. It's like, what was the order of things? I think that my agent called me and gave me kind of a heads up, like, hey, I think, Carolina, it sounds like they're going to take you somewhere in the 5th. And then there it was on the TV. I was with my family and closest friends, and I grew up in a very small town, so it was kind of big news for that little town. And I just remember being kind of like in awe, and just it was a very surreal moment. And it was one that I will never forget.
So as you were preparing and getting ready, I don't think people understand, obviously you wouldn't if you're not a player or someone that's gone through this before, all of the steps that go into getting yourself in a position to be drafted, the interviews and the same questions over and over again from multiple sources. So take us through that a little bit in your mind as well, and how that process was, because it was like going after job interview after job interview after job interview.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's different than other job interviews. You kind of have this one shot to give it everything that you have, put your best self forward, and whether that's through an interview that you're having with a team or a coach, or actually performing during the combine and the events and the training and all of that. I don't know. I was just very much like in the zone. You'll hear athletes talk about like they're in the zone, and that was the case for me. And like I said, when I look back on that, I was happy with what I did. I knew that I gave it my best, and was just going to see what happened.
And look, and the Ducks are right here to welcome you back as well. Dante Rosario joining us on the Danny and Justin radio program, live here from the club at Autzen Stadium on draft night here 2025. Dante, gracious to spend a few moments with us. So get us up to speed. What's going on in your world, in your orbit right now?
In my world right now, well, my lovely wife is standing right over there. She is here with me tonight, and I have 2 young sons, a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old, who are very active, and maybe one of these days they'll be wearing the green and yellow as well. But live in Bend, Oregon. Life has been great. I actually work for Amazon and have been for almost 8 years now. So it's been a different experience, moving from the field into kind of the corporate environment. But I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, it's actually pretty amazing how transferable the skills are that you learn when you're playing a sport, whether it be football or some other sport, and how that correlates into the work environment. I think about that often, and so many of the lessons that are instilled in me, I know that I earned and worked for in this very place.
Well, and that's one thing I was going to ask is, how did what you learn on the field translate? I always love having the Duck around. Translate into what you do now, because it's about discipline. It's about being true to yourself. It's about having ethics and morals, and treating other people the right way, treating a team the right way, because we're not alone in this world. We always have to have those relationships.
Yeah. And I manage people now, which is very different than, being like an individual contributor as a player. But what you said, all of those virtues are so important when you're talking about any type of team environment, corporate world, on the field. All of those virtues that you mentioned are so important. And for me, I think the same reason as to why I was successful here at Oregon, why I was, able to get drafted and have a career in the NFL. I bring it back to my work ethic. It wasn't that I had to work, it was I get to work. And I feel like anytime I was doing anything, no matter how small, no matter how big, I was always trying to put my best foot forward, trying to work as hard as I possibly can. And I would say those are the main attributes that have really carried over into other parts of my life.
Well, thank you for spending a few moments with us, and honestly for being here with the team back here. And it's got to be great coming back.
It's always great coming back here. Haven't been back in the springtime, and I forgot how beautiful this place is. I'm usually here in the fall,
right,
to catch a game, but and it's amazing just to see like new facilities being built, which just blows my mind. But yeah, I love this place.
Well, don't be a stranger, and we might, if you don't mind, we might grab you and have you come on the show once in a while, if you don't mind. All right, Dante, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Dante Rosario joining us. And by the way, the Giants pick is in. Abdul Carter is the next one off the board, the edge rusher from Penn State. Again, big thanks to Dante Rosario for joining us here on the program. And you still got the other one up, buddy. So yeah, you can grab that one back. Yeah, you know what? We're not fancy around here, man. That's great. We've already had Verone McKinley on. We've got Dante Rosario. We're going to have more Ducks. We have the Duck already, which is fantastic. Look at that. And the room is filling up. The program actually really is not going to start until a little after 6 o'clock.
Yeah, we've already had a surprise, right, with the Jags trading up and getting Travis Hunter.
I mean, does that shock you?
I guess I'm shocked as much as anything as the Browns are choosing to pass on Travis Hunter. And it's a team that I think needed some excitement, needed some things to have their fans hold their hat on. I think Travis Hunter could have been a guy where you could have some excitement, but that it looks like they got a good package. They got another first-round pick. I think it was a second and a fourth, along with that 2026 first-round pick. So we'll see what they do. I think they're at pick 5 now, so they should have the ability. Maybe they want to get an Ashton Genty, or they want to get a Will Campbell, somebody they wanted to, trade down for and get some other assets. But I'm really surprised, actually, that they passed on Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter, the next one off the board. The Patriots now are the next ones on the clock, as you've got Will Campbell, you've got Ashton Genty. We'll take a real quick break, and when we come back, we'll have another former Duck joining us here on the Danny and Justin radio program, live from the club at Autzen on Draft Night 2025.
Quiet, okay? Are you gonna play football? You gonna get drafted? Are you? Yeah, baseball. Drafted in baseball. Don't think about it. Unless you really want to. All right, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, look. Try it. We're gonna try it. We know we can do this. That's gonna be easy. But yeah, so we can do that too. Let's see if we can do that.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Tiger. Tiger. You know what? Stop. Hey, stop acting like that. You don't even do that. You don't even know her. You just met her today. How was your golf tournament? I had it.
You got it? We good? Yeah. Let's make sure we can hear it.
Should be all right.
Okay. Okay, guys, if you want to put these headsets on.
I ain't got no bread. Working a PTO. You look 9 to 5 in it.
Now we got to turn about here too,
right now.
Yeah, I hear that.
Okay. Everybody here? Can you hear?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, get them up there. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we're going to go right back to this, and we're live back at the club room at Autzen Stadium, and we are joined right on the inside there, TJ Ward and Jeremiah Johnson join us. Give it up for
Hello.
the former Ducks.
The Jays, TJ and JJ.
Let's go.
All right, let's go is right. Now you got to introduce the other superstar that's there sitting on your lap.
Oh, this is Terrell the third, but his name he goes by 3.
He goes by 3.
Yeah,
you go by 3. All right, pound it out. Did you meet the Duck already? Yeah, you did. The Duck was over there. Duck's milling around the room.
Where's he at?
He's over there.
He's over there. That's right. All right, guys. Well, what does this take you back to? And I'll just throw it out to both of you. When you come back here and it's draft night, and when you're thinking about what your emotions were like when you were sitting there, you were waiting for that phone call, the workouts, everything that you'd been doing. So
here, I'm gonna take this one, Tease. For me, it brings a little bit of a nightmare because I was undrafted free agent,
right?
Due to a shoulder injury. You know what I'm saying? I was touted to go maybe early second, late third. You know what I'm saying? But you know, at the end of the day, the experience, just having family around for something like that going down, and all the love and support, and although the overall circumstance wasn't like what I wanted, I was still able to, you know, be an NFL guy. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's all a blessing, man. It's good to have this experience, and for the other guys where I can also share a little bit of that with them and let them know, like, hey, you ain't the only one, you know, if it goes that way for them.
What kind of advice
I didn't know that, Jay.
Yeah,
it was
bro.
a shoulder,
bro.
It had to be something because I was like, hey, no
it was
way.
Crazy. It was that
I never knew that.
It was that Utah State
we
game.
All learning things today.
Utah State 4th game of the season.
Really?
And then
I was hurt.
Yeah, played the whole season.
I played that game.
You played the whole season, but then, you know, nobody want to invest $1 million in a, you know, it's rough. It's rough.
Man, dang.
So what about you, TJ? What was it like?
I was at home with a good amount of my friends and family. I really couldn't even. I don't remember. Like,
it was like a blur, right?
Yeah, it was a blur. I remember getting the call and, you know, them saying, you know, this is who is it, Mangini and Rob Ryan, and I remember that. But everything else, like after that and before that, I don't remember really too much.
When did it hit home that you were gonna? And I'll start with you, Chairman. When did it hit home? It's like, all right, now I got a chance to play on Sundays. And so what I got to do? What was it, getting on the plane? That when it hit home, would it hit the ground? What?
Nah, for me, it was literally after that last pick went down. I got a call from Tampa, got a call from Houston Texans, and, you know, they gave me their spiel, and then I had a chance to choose, and I chose the Houston Texans, and then that's when it was like, hey, it's go time. You know, you an undrafted guy. Now you got to show what you about. And
you have a chip on your shoulder?
Oh, 100%. You know what I'm saying? Even if I got drafted, I still have a chip on the shoulder because I want to be the best back out there. So, you know, once I got that call and confirmed what we're doing, it was like, hey, it's time to strap up. It's time to go.
And what was it about Houston that you felt like, hey, this is where I want to be?
Houston was a place that I've never been before. And, you know, the backs that they had there was a little bit older. So I was like, I have a great opportunity to go in there and get some playing time, show what I'm about. And Tampa, I just think Florida is a little too far. So I was just like, I don't know.
That was a great decision. My worst year ever. I'll never go back to Tampa for nothing.
What about you, TJ? When did it set in for you? When you got drafted?
When I got drafted, it set in right after, because we had picked Joe Hayden in the first round. And I knew I should have went first round. There was about 3 or 4 safeties that went before me, and I had missed my first half of my senior year with my high ankle sprain.
Yep.
So I was just like, nah.
You had a chip for a different
I had a
reason.
chip, right? Second round, you were like, what you got a
Like,
chip
wait a
for?
minute.
Nah, I had a chip because it was some teams interested me in the first round. They didn't pull the trigger. And then I went to Cleveland, which is not the ideal landing destination for draft. I mean, everyone
we all know.
A blessing to get drafted.
Yeah,
but
just get
if
the
you
lead.
ask people which teams are at the bottom of that list of who you want to get drafted by, Cleveland, no doubt, comes up in that top 5 for mostly everybody. But Cleveland is a great city. It was a blessing to get drafted there. I learned so much about Ohio, about the fan base. And then when I was in it, I'm like, damn, like, I'm in a much better situation
Yep.
than being in a lot of cities.
Yep.
Right? Even though we weren't winning, and I realized like it's not all about
It's not all about
the wins and losses. It's about being in a place that is going to show you love, that is going to welcome you to the community, that's going to create long-lasting friendships. I have some of my greatest friends to this day from Oregon and Ohio.
Yep.
So it's about all of that. Now you ask me about Ohio, and people talk bad about how I'm like, wait a minute. You ain't been there. You don't know about
That's
it.
my family now.
So exactly,
Right there.
So,
Exactly.
By the way, New England just took Will Campbell off the board.
nice.
So
Will Campbell, who is he from Richmond?
LSU.
Oh
Offensive
Okay.
yeah, offensive tackle. Yeah,
and
he's a
they
big
said
boy.
that's a pretty good fit
Dog.
for,
Yeah, he's a big
for
boy.
New England. So
Yeah, he's a
it's
dog.
now Cleveland who traded down to allow Jacksonville to trade up to get Travis Hunter.
Yeah,
is
they're gonna
now
go
on
with
the clock.
Genty. I think.
Hold
You
on.
think-
Let's talk about Travis.
I thought
Let's talk about
Yeah,
Travis.
let's talk
I
about
wanted
talk
the
about
Browns
Travis.
to give him.
Now
I
we
ain't gonna
we
lie.
we here to talk about which team is going to let him go both ways. Now I believe that he's a better defender than an offensive guy. What do you think, TJ?
I agree. I think he's a better defender. I think he's going to be more beneficial to a team
Right.
on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, you can stick him on offense. Yeah, I mean, there's more than Travis that can play offense in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right? There's a bunch of guys
Yeah,
that if
yeah.
you put him at receiver or you put him somewhere they can play. Yes, he's had the opportunity to do it in college, which
Mhm.
But
you
I mean,
know,
in the pros, it's got to be
it's
more
different.
situational.
It's different.
It's got to
And
be
that's
situational. It
Straight
cannot
gimmick
be,
guy. Straight gimmick guy. Hey, let's give him a fly sweep. Let's see what they doing. Let's throw them off their toes. Let's see what they about. But I just think that if Travis focus on one side, he can be one of the best DBs ever to grace.
And physically, it's not just physically. Yeah, he has the ability to do it. It's mental.
It's mental, yeah.
You can learn a whole defense.
Yes.
You can learn a whole offense. When you got them combined and going through your head
It's
and
gonna be crazy.
checks and audibles, and you got to look for this
Mhm.
safety in this position. But wait, now I'm on defense. I got to look for this offset back,
Right,
and then we got to
right.
check here. And is that going to be something that you can
absorb.
hold,
Yeah.
Yeah.
absorb?
Absorb.
Yeah.
Right.
Absorb. Yeah, you will have to absorb that just because you have to maintain, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're going both ways, you can't be 100. You can't be 60-40. Let's say that.
Yeah.
You cannot be 60-40. You can't go crazy on defense, and then we seeing drop passes. You're not seeing a blitz. You don't run a hot call. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're gonna let him do it.
And then
But-
they're going to figure out where it's going to be.
Exactly.
Do you think that it's going to be best if he's primarily a defender and then gets in there on specific offensive packages, that kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. If I was the guy that was making the call, special team guy, get them punt returns. Let's take some to the crib. Let's get you hot. Maybe put him in nickel. Maybe grab one of the fastest guys around, and then hey, drop him a run. Give him a handoff or something.
The perfect way is how teams use Dion.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna play offense this week. You're not gonna play offense next week.
Yep.
You'll play 10 snaps this week. Perfect. You're gonna catch a post. I'm a Niner fan. Dion come in and run a post. He's gonna catch a post, and then he's gonna sit down for 80 snaps of offense. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
They're showing the Browns war room right now.
yeah, let's see what the
They're
Browns
on-
got, man.
Yeah, so again, they traded
Pick
down.
4.
They got a first round. They got a nice package to let Jacksonville trade up
I
three
think
spots.
that's the best thing they could do is trade down. When you have that many, or when you're that high and you're not that high on one of those players, trade down, get as many picks as you can.
As many as you
And
can.
the Browns
exactly.
need a lot of picks.
So we'll see as this pick comes in. We've got TJ Ward. We've got Jeremiah Johnson joining us here.
Quarterback.
You gotta go
Justin
quarterback.
radio program that's live on YouTube.
All right, they went tackle.
And they
The
went.
offensive line, the D line.
They go D line.
D line.
I don't think that's a good pick.
Mason
So they
Graham.
passed
Oh,
over
that's Mason
Ashton
Graham.
Jen-
Oh, okay.
Mason
They
Graham.
passed over Anton
That's the
Genty.
Browns for you, man.
That's the Browns.
That's the Browns. The Browns is
Man.
on the Browns. What? You
It-
got the best
wait.
defensive lineman in football.
Is Shador still on the board?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm taking him.
And no quarterback.
What do you like about
You
Shador?
have no quarterback.
Look at
And you
Kenyon
pick
walking
a
by.
D
That
lineman.
side eye.
Hey,
Kenyon
you
giving-
over his side eyeing KP.
Jeremiah, what do you like about Shador?
Man, I think Shador.
Hey,
I think he
you
just
better
commands
get
an
up outta
offense.
here before
Yeah,
I
you don't can't be over here tripping.
Get on that weed.
Just think he just commands the offense, man. He's so composed. It is like nothing bothers him. Now, in college, he never had a solidified line that's gonna give him time to go 1, 2, 3, check down. You know what I'm saying? He was always in fight or flight mode. And you get some guys who's been blocking for years and know how to do it the correct way. man, this man can go crazy. He can truly go crazy. Now, the other half of that is this: how is he in the locker room? What is he in the locker room? What he's gonna bring, you know, in the locker room? Because when you got guys that's in there that's been doing it, making money, and you come in here, Rook, and you trying to move mountains, you could rub some people the wrong way. And if you start rubbing the wrong way of your tackle, that's
But
the
I
guy.
think it's a little
What do you
different
think?
this year. I mean, because they so young in these locker rooms.
That's very true.
They are
That's very
so
true.
young.
That's
like,
very true.
when we came in, we had
They
a
was
good
vetted.
30 and up. It was about 8 of them,
Vetted.
10 of them like that was 30 and up. Like,
Yeah.
for sure, they got 3-4 kids.
Yeah.
Been married 8 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was 10 of them.
Exactly.
You might be lucky to find 1 or 2 now.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
So I'm just going to point this out right now. You two should be doing something together.
We
Like a
should.
podcast
Get
or
on the
something
cast
like
or
that.
something.
Come
Oh,
on.
come on now.
Tell Oregon to
I
get
don't
us
have to do it.
together.
I'm just saying this is the
Put the
easiest
budget-
interview I've ever
Put
done.
the budget together. Hey, Uncle Phil.
Where he at?
Put the budget together for me and JJ. We need a podcast every Saturday after the game,
Let's
before
go.
the game.
I love that.
We'll do it via telecast, all that.
Yeah,
I
we
just
be on
finished with the
point.
broadcast boot camp, so I'm gonna send y'all my reels and
Yeah,
everything.
get
I'm
at it,
ready to
get at
go.
it.
Just make sure that Justin gets us your content. I'm dead
Yeah,
serious about
for
that,
sure.
and get you guys on the show once in a while.
Yeah,
I love
anytime,
that. Here.
anytime.
Anytime.
So
anytime.
So get us up to date for the fans out there and for everyone on what's going on in your lives right now. Get us up to date. Where are you at?
For me right now, I'm coaching high school football at Willamette High School in town.
Right.
And I'm also assistant track coach, sprints and relays for Willamette as well. So, for me, it's about giving back to the community, and importantly, making sure these kids in Eugene get a fair shake with all these Power 5 schools around here that just look over Oregon and not give these kids, just because of competition. We're not a Texas, we're not a Cali, but we got some decent guys out here
Some dogs come out of
absolutely
Oregon.
that's work hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, just give you an example. I got a guy named Maverick Akers. Last year, he rushed for 1,000 yards. He transferred from Roseburg and he only rushed for 500. So under my care and trying to get his mind right, he was able to go crazy for 1,000 yards, 23 touchdowns on 167 carries. So it's about mindset. It's about putting guys in the right place.
And I remember actually talked to him because we do a Friday Night Live show.
There you go.
So I talked to Josh Lyon a number of times.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to Maverick as well. He won our Athlete of the Week. I remember he was telling me about you teaching him how to block. And I believe you said that he was a really, really good blocker.
Yeah, he's a great blocker. That's what it's all about, man. That's how I was able to be in the league for 4 years as an undrafted free agent. I was able to put my nose in there. You know what I'm saying? 3 seconds, die slow.
Gets you on the field.
That's what it's all about, baby. You see a TJ coming down line, hey, A-gap, hey, look, give him what you got and hold on for dear life. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about.
All right, TJ, what about you?
I got my foundation like JJ. I think we grounded in giving back to the community. So me and my brother, we have the War Boy Project.
Beautiful.
And we give back to the youth in the Bay Area, trying to expand throughout Cali, Central Cali, and slowly down to Southern Cal. But we have our golf tournament May 12th up at Ruby Hill in Pleasanton.
Look.
And this is our second annual there. So it's to raise funds for our draw program, which is our mentorship.
Okay.
And mentoring kids from 13 to 18.
That's dope.
Ashton Gentry just went off the board,
Where'd
by
he
the
go?
way. So
Who did he go to?
Raiders.
Went to the
okay.
Raiders.
Yeah,
Pete
we
Carroll.
just said that. And
Yes,
then
you did.
I have my agency.
There you
So
go.
Player Above Sports Group. When I retired, I sat back and wanted to do, and my agent wasn't the best at doing what he was supposed to do. So I was like, you know what?
Same here.
Don't talk about it. Don't complain about it. Do about
Do
it.
something about it, yo.
So I jumped into it, and it was hard in the beginning, and I hated it. I wanted to quit because I didn't relate to the kids. The kids didn't want what I thought they should want. Their parents is different than, our parents. But, I'm going into year 4, and I ain't made no money. But
but
we
out
putting
there.
ourselves in position to make a lot of
We out
money.
there.
So
Indeed.
we just got to build the foundation straight and make sure it's strong. And that's what I've been doing the last 3 years, is putting the right people around me.
Well, blessings
That's
on
dope.
both of you guys for
Thank
coming
you so
back
much.
up here. You coming over here
Yes.
and you coming back up to visit
problem. It's
the
always
school.
great
getting
I mean,
back.
things are changing, man.
That was
Tearing
dope.
everything up
Ooh,
over
Oh,
there.
I just
goodness.
seen
This
that. I
place-
said we just
Hey,
built the
hey.
state of the artist facility.
Hey,
Now
on the
we
way
go-
over here, my wife was like, all the dreams, all everything y'all
But,
put on that
bruh,
field, all the
look,
sweat, the
what
blood,
was
the
here
tears
when
is
you
gone.
played? I'll be like this little building right. You can't even see it. It's in
Can't even
between
see
all
it.
the big buildings. That's what we was in. That little one.
Jeremiah Peru, JJ, how much you benching right now?
Right now, you know what?
You
Yesterday
been
I
lifting
have.
with the
Yesterday I
varsity,
hopped on
right?
I hopped on the bench yesterday for the first time in about maybe 4 weeks. You know, I put up about 295 real quick. One for the one shot. You know what I'm saying?
That's good for the one
You
shot
know,
right
for the
now.
one shot. You know, I'm an old man. You know, I try to show these young ones.
Don't you give me that? Don't
you-
you give me that
come
old
on.
man?
I ain't gonna lie. I go in there. I put 220, max 250. My shoulders are through. I try to go put 275. Man, I rack that. What am I doing?
Stop. Done.
What am I doing? You gonna get hurt in here. I done slipped the disc. Oh, look, bro. I'm almost 40. So I got a 4-year-old. I'm trying to keep up with him. He getting older, faster every day, talking mess. I'm just trying to keep a head on his shoulders.
Before you get up, but look, this is what you don't have. You don't got a daughter.
I don't.
That's 15.
I got a 16-year-old.
You know.
I know.
But look, this is what's going on in my household. She sophomore in high school, going to Willamette. She running a 12.65, and she's trying to race me, bro.
That beat me right now.
That's hamstrings, quads, all that gone.
I guess we're getting our pictures taken. Everybody is looking at it. All right,
You're
guys.
welcome.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
you.
you for having
Appreciate
us,
you
man.
coming, man.
So
That's
fun,
awesome.
so fun.
Leave make sure I got your information
we're
for
gonna lock
Justin.
in.
All right,
For
all
sure.
right, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Go get some food. It's TJ Ward and Jeremiah Johnson as Ashton Genty just comes off the board as the Danny and Justin radio program live on YouTube. We're not doing the radio show. This has been a fast and furious first 50 minutes. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, who's on the clock right now? So we're back. We're down to, I got to catch up. We're down to pick number 7. So the Jets and Tyler Warren's still sitting out there. That might be one of the best fits. So we'll see when we come back. We'll have more Oregon players for you. We've got royalty in the house. We've already had the duck by Danny and Justin here on Thursday night? It's a Thursday night. It's draft night here from the club room on YouTube.
Live from the Autzen.
Yeah, do it. You could do it. Ed.
Nah, you guys. I'm on you. I'm a guest on you guys' show.
Well, welcome.
Well,
Yeah,
you already
glad to be
started.
here.
We're back here in the club room at Autzen Stadium as we are celebrating all of the kids that are getting on to the next step in their lives as the draft is well underway here. The Jets pick. Who was the Jets pick, Justin? Did we get that? And now we've got the Panthers on the clock. So
That's fine.
the Jets
Perfect.
pick is in.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
And then it's the Panthers next. The only big excitement already in this first
They
round
went
is
with
that.
Membu.
Keep pounding. Go Panthers.
All right, that's right. Keep pounding, go Panthers.
What do you want?
I don't know who they need right now.
Well, I mean, I think Tyler Warren's still on the board. If you want a tight end, if
Yeah.
you're particular for a tight end, you've got
Kelvin Banks,
Yeah.
tackle.
Let's just skip everybody and get Ferguson.
Well, if you're going to go that
Yeah,
route,
right.
right? If you're going to go that route. So Ed Dixon joining us here. So Ed, I mean, what was this night like for you when it was your turn?
What was special? Finishing my collegiate career, we went to the Rose Bowl, came up a little bit short. I let everything out and then let the chips fall where it may. I went to my training, did all the hard work. And then when this night came, I wanted to spend this moment with family because that's what it's all about. When you put all the hard work in and individually get all the accolades and all the things, you think about your family, the people that paved the way for you, your mom, your grandparents, your sister, and all the things. So I really wanted to spend that moment with my family. I chose not to. I wasn't a day one guy. I was told I wasn't a day one guy, so I knew I was coming the second day, maybe the third day. So I chose to not go to New York and be at home with family and be somewhere with family.
So the prep and the wind up to this, if you could talk to yourself being as old as you are now and talk to your 20, 21-year-old self, what would you tell that person?
Just enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment. You never know. God knows where you're going to end up. That organization is just a start. It doesn't matter if you're number one or the last pick. You still have to go out and prove you deserve to be in that league. Sure, the number one pick get a lot more, financial, money, but you still have opportunity to be a part of a fraternity that's great. There's not that many people that get drafted. Even the free agents, there's not that many people that can say they played in the NFL, and I played for over 10 years.
What is that like to have just people evaluating you, and there's all these numbers and rankings and people saying, hey, you're not a day one guy, but then as an athlete, I'm sure you think that you can do whatever you think you can accomplish, right? So What is that like for you? What was that mentality like for you, knowing that other people were kind of evaluating the way you play, but also trying to sort of do the best you could without letting that affect you?
It's like the ultimate job interview. They root through everything in your life. If you got in trouble when you were in sixth grade, they knew about it. Because they're investing in a person to come into the organization and produce. If they're investing time and money into a young guy, they want to make sure that it's a character guy that's going to come into that facility and not change anything. Let's see who the Panthers.
Yeah, here we go. The Panthers pick is in. I know
Let's go. I mean,
so who do you think?
I have no idea.
Oh, they go wide receiver.
Oh, wow.
Hey, so Dave Canellis, he's a smart coach, and he's thinking he's going to put some weapons out there.
So, but a wide receiver off the board at pick number 8?
That's aggressive right there.
It's aggressive.
That's aggressive.
But
that is the number one guy on the board,
right?
though.
Yeah, he's talented. I watched him play at Arizona. He's a really good wide receiver. Only reason I say the Panthers because I spent a little time in the Panthers. We went to Super Bowl, Cam and that supporting crew. So Panthers hold a near and dear spot to me as well. So, I'm a Panther at heart as well.
Well, so I don't want to ruin the mood right now. I don't know if Justin told you, but both of us are diehard Green Bay fans, and I'm a stockholder in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So I remember Carolina, Green Bay. It was very cold and the NFC Championship game up there at Lambeau Field. So I want to. So what was your? I mean, obviously Carolina's your favorite place to play, but from the
I didn't say Carolina was my favorite place to play. It just hold a spot in my heart because
what was
we went to
what was your favorite stadium to play in?
Favorite stadium to play in? That's tough.
It's not a trick question.
No, I mean, playing a lot of stadium over the course of 10 years. The most challenging stadium to play in probably was the Green Bay or something like that. But, I mean, I would say like the Seahawks, the CenturyLink, the old CenturyLink. That's just because the fans were so in tune to the game, and you were in the act with the fans. They were loud. They would try to get in your mind. So going to play them always presented a challenge. So I like to play.
Was it different when you played for them?
Oh yeah, it was definitely different because we got the crowd involved.
Right.
We knew that 12 man effect, so we tried to get the crowd involved. If you're on the sideline, we're on the sideline getting them pumped up, different things. So it's like being in Autzen Stadium.
Absolutely,
and that's where I come from, and so playing against somebody, I couldn't imagine being in another collegiate, another college and playing Autzen Stadium and then not being able to hear, making false starts and different things. That's equivalent for the NFL level.
So Ed Dixon joining us here on the YouTube channel for Danny and Justin here, the draft night special here from the club room at Autzen Stadium in Oregon. Great, and he's back here with us for draft night as he reminisces a little bit, even though I was trying to put words in his mouth, is being very gracious with his time. So Ed, the game's changed a lot at the collegiate level.
Yes.
And I haven't asked this question of anybody else yet, but I know you're very well-spoken, very well-versed, and well-read. So tell me, from your opinion, are we verging on just craziness right now with what's going on with NIL and transfer portals and the lack of attachment to a school, because it's like you're an employee and you're just going to move wherever you want? Is it getting too crazy?
I would say it's still brand new. You got to fine tune this thing. You can't have the collegiate level being like the NFL level, because you got young kids that, trying to navigate, going to class and their lives and relationships, so you can't make it like the NFL level. That's why the NFL level is the NFL level. I think it's going to be some parameters put around this thing here in a couple of years. But right now, I think it is a little crazy. For a guy that thinks that he's bigger than a collegiate team, or, I can go do this, I can go do that. What are you telling the next guy? I can just leave at any moment and go to that transfer portal and get more money. No, you still not at that level. You're not at that level. That the NFL is the NFL for a reason. They can pay the guys that deserve to be paid, millions of dollars. If you're getting that at the collegiate level, what are you striving for? These guys are shutting it down. They're like, I already got my money. They're not trying to get to the NFL.
Have you thought about how things would be different for you if NIL and everything existed?
You're going to take them down that. There it goes.
There'll be a lot more food in my refrigerator. I'll tell you that much. I mean, we come from the old days where we struggled to get a meal, and I'm grateful for the platform that we presented for these guys, and I'm grateful that they're getting it right now. But I can only imagine how it would have been, man. I would have been living next to the head coach. But it's a reason when God knew what he was doing. He, when it can't come around, but they need to definitely put some parameters around it and fine tune this thing, because it's getting a little out of control. And you're setting a standard that you can't come back from that. Quarterbacks and all these top defenders and things, they're trying to get in. Some of these guys are making more money than NFL players, and you're like, Jesus, people want to stick a couple more years in college. They're gonna say, you know what? They're gonna make a business decision. Say, you know what? I'm getting paid pretty good here. I'm gonna stay in college for a couple more years.
Ed Dixon joining us here on the Danny and Justin live show from the club room at Autzen Stadium here on a Thursday night. The 2025 draft, the Saints pick is in, so that's coming up next. They're picking 9, so we'll get that live with Ed, and then we're going to let him go and get some food. Is family here with you, Ed, or you just?
Yeah, I'm a family guy through and through, man. That's what my retirement been from when I retired 5 years, is building my legacy with my family. I got 4 boys under the age of 5 right now, and that's my whole life.
You've been busy. And you're staying busy,
to say the least.
So what are you doing now?
Me, career-wise, I'm just fine-tuning my portfolio. I didn't have to do much. A little real estate here and there. I mentor kids. I actually mentored the tight ends at the university for a couple of years. So I was a mentor to Ferguson, in the last couple of years, and just to see him pull down those records, it made my heart full, man, because those records, that's what it's meant for, to be broken. You don't
They can't hold on forever.
You don't wish those records stand up for. I mean, university is not moving forward. The university is moving forward. They're getting better, and to see him breaking those records, I think Kenyon Sadiq's going to break some records.
He's going to be
some good things coming out of the university these next couple of years, and I'm excited, and I'm really. And see my boy Drew get that offensive coordinator job too. So look for a lot of plays to the tight ends.
Okay, well, we're going to talk. I'll talk about that in just a second. So it's Banks goes. Kevin Banks goes to New Orleans out of Texas, offensive tackle.
Yeah.
So what do you think of what Dan Lanning is starting to build here now at Oregon?
Well, I've been a Dan Lanning fan since the moment he came in. You know, he had the defensive minded coach, bringing that toughness, that grit back to Autzen Stadium. For a few years there, we was kind of flatline. We built with the needles going up now, and he got total support from the retirees or the alumni.
The alumni.
We love what we're seeing. We're at the cusp of getting that national championship, and I think we need to put it all together and go get one. Whatever he needs. If he needs us to mentor, or he needs us to come down, put my pads on and scrimmage against these guys. We're gonna get it done. We got to get one definitely for Uncle Phil before he gets out of here, man. A lot of love for that guy.
Great, and thank you for your time, buddy. It's really nice seeing you. Very nice to meet you.
I got to give some love to my Panthers, man. Yeah. I'm a retired Panthers Super Bowl champ 2012. Go Panthers. The Ravens.
Right.
I'm a retired Raven, 2012 Super Bowl champ. I went back with the Panthers. That's why I got a lot of love for them. But I got to give some love to my Ravens. Go Ravens. We.
You got it in. You got it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got to show some love to the Ravens.
All right, buddy. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. Thanks, man. Right. Be good. I look forward to hearing you on the panel up there a little bit later.
Definitely.
Don't give Reister too much trouble, though, will you?
No, that's my guy, man.
Okay.
I got some. It's gonna be a couple tight ends up there.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's a tight end heavy room again.
Oh my God! Look. They got to take some off the board.
We'll do it. All right. There he is.
Have a good one.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye.
The great Ed Dixon here in the Danny and Justin show. Yeah, we keep moving them in and out of here, man. And here we go as Ed Dixon slides out, and we'll bring another former Duck into the chair as well as we get ready here for the next pick, which is the Bears pick. And the Bears pick is in, and we got Justin Fisher. You can come on, sneak on over here and let me know what's going on. You can whisper in my ear as we got who's our next guy. All right. Oh, well, I got my former Ashland boy. I'm an Ashland High grad. Let's bring on those guys in here. Chase Cota and Brady Breeze. Come on, boys, and sit on there, and we'll get you in, and we'll a little bit more fresher meat.
Welcome.
That's it.
How's it going?
Come on in. It's not a formal process here. Just grab a headset, throw that on. So, yeah, right there is perfect, and you just pull that microphone right back down to you there, young man. You got it? All right, here we go, and I will turn that one on. Mr. Cota, Mr. Breeze, that's Justin. I'm Danny. Grab that right there and throw that on. Then we'll turn your microphone on. And as we welcome you guys into our draft night coverage, welcome, boys. It's Mr. Cota. It's Chase Cota. And Mr. Breeze. That's Brady. We always say Mr. first. We've learned our proper way of introducing folks. By the way, I got to say, Chase, I'm an Ashland High grad. I'm a Grizzly.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so I'm starting there. I ain't sucking up to you, but
I like that.
Okay, so
I'm a Panther, but I like that.
Okay, so I played with Mitch Baratz, Tim Sam, Steve Roberts.
Okay, yeah.
Back in the day when it was still Medford National. There was no two Medford schools. It was just one Medford school at Fred Spiegelberg Stadium. They didn't name it that at that point because he had still coaching. That was his last year, my senior year.
That's awesome.
And then the Cota family down there, man, you guys can hit people, first of all.
Especially
and then run away from people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pops is a son. That's where I was getting to.
Right,
he was 7 years behind me in school.
Yeah.
So that's how old I am too. So you could be my son.
So you're more OG. You're a real legend.
I'm real. Oh, I don't know if I'm not that much of a legend. I was second string, but welcome, guys. So thanks for coming back, first of all.
Yeah,
so what kind of, when you walk through here now, what's it like? I mean, what are the thoughts that come through your head?
I mean, lots of good memories, that's for sure. Coming back to Autzen, getting to see Chase a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely some good memories for sure. Stadium's changing a lot. Seeing the new construction happening for the practice field and stuff. These kids are definitely going to be blessed. I mean, we were blessed when I was there, but they're going to be extra blessed. So
yeah, right. For me, it's like I could only imagine what it's like for him and my dad being here because they were there, 4 or 5 years each. And so
Right.
for me, I got 1 year here, but growing up just being a big fan and then being able to do it somewhere else, play college football somewhere else, then come here, be able to see the differences and kind of hear other people's stories and realize how special it is here and be able to come back and enjoy that and have everyone kind of say the same thing and have the same good stories about the place. It's always a good time.
So the game's changing a lot since you guys were, even since you guys were playing, and you were both young pups, but still, what is it doing to, I guess you would say, the ability for a player to have the association with a school? Because you guys come back, you were only here for 1 year, but you've got ties to this school as a legacy player. You bled, green and gold. So, but those are exceptions rather than rules anymore, it seems like. So what is portal, NIL, and stuff, in your opinions, kind of doing to the game right now, and how do we start thinking about guardrails for those things?
Yeah, we've kind of had some conversations about it a little bit, but college football in general, just college sports, overall basketball, everything, it's kind of turned it into just professional sports. It's college football is turning kind of into the NFL, but with no cap and no free agency restrictions. So it's definitely tough on the coaches, but I feel like Dan Lanning's, handled it really well. I've seen some of his, interviews. He came out to Nike and spoke at the Nike signing event. And the stuff that he was saying about how, he keeps his players here is, really important. But yeah, the game's definitely changing. It's really competitive. Guys are trying to pick people off, even before the playoffs, like we saw this year from some teams. We were talking about the Tennessee quarterback. There's guys that are just reaching for money, which is really unfortunate, So I think it's going to be really important, obviously, for Oregon. I think they obviously are doing it. Right. In fact, I know that they're doing it, but they're focusing on, bringing the culture here. It's a legacy team. You're wearing the O in your shirt. You're not just here just so you can get money. You're here representing the O. You're representing the state of Oregon, representing, the history of this school, which is a really good football program, great fan base, everything. So, and, the Nike affiliation. So, yeah, I think, Oregon's going to be just fine, though.
Yeah, I know. Like you said, the transfer portal, it worked out for me. So I was glad that it existed in my time for sure. But then as far as, just NIL and everything, moving forward, it'll be interesting to see how many years from now it is before it's all in place. Like, okay, this is this team's general manager. There's already a few, but when it's every team has that set cap, and the schools Instagrams are posting the contracts and all of that. I wonder if it's 2 years away, 3 years away, or what. But it'll just be interesting to see, and hopefully, people are led in the right direction. There's also just hopefully more money going into the athletes through player development and stuff like that, so they're able to hopefully get a jump start on life, because I think that's just great, because not a lot of guys are going to be able to play in the NFL. So hopefully a bunch of fringe guys can be able to come out of college and have an opportunity to set themselves up and be able to enjoy hopefully trying more career paths than one, and be able to get immersed into real life a little easier than some maybe.
And do you think it's just about the guardrail, sort of about, I think we all want players to get paid and to get what they deserve, but definitely. There has to be some sort of limit to what players can do. And we all know the Nico Iamaleava situation, and moving from Tennessee to UCLA. So is it just about the guardrails and figuring out how to have this be kind of fair for everyone?
Yeah, I think exactly. Just once there's a cap set and stuff, I think it'll just be the NFL really. And I don't know how long.
Is that a good thing?
I don't know.
I think so.
Whatever you got. Yeah.
I've never really said this publicly, but just,
Well, here, say it here. Let's break the news right now. Bring it out.
So what I would think, who cares what my opinion is, but I'll just, say it to you guys. I think, the transfer portal should be limited to 2 years. So that gives a player 3 decisions. So they choose their school. So that's, one decision. They could stay there for 2 years. By the time you're a redshirt freshman, if it doesn't work out, then you have time to go. Now you go to a different school. It's your second choice. There for 2 more years. If it's still not working out, then now you get your third choice, at least your redshirt senior year. You have 1 more year of eligibility. You can go somewhere else. But then it forces players to at least deal with a little bit of adversity, kind of feel it out. Sometimes you roll into a school and it's like, you're just not the guy. You're not, built up. It took me a long time to develop throughout my career, get stronger, faster, learn the game. So for a lot of guys just to jump around each year, I just think that's detrimental to themselves. Some guys, it's beneficial. I don't want to speak for everybody.
I don't think that's a hot take at all. I'm with you.
Yeah, I just think, it's important for the development of players, So I hope they can kind of work something else, something out like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, who cares what I think?
No.
I would just love to see development.
You probably gave one of the more reasonable assessments about what should happen. We talked to a lot of people. We talked to the Josh Pates of the world, to the Dave Revsons of the world, and guys that are a lot smarter than we are as well. Yeah. But that is probably one of the most reasonable assessments in concise way. So what happens? It's not going to probably happen, unfortunately.
Yeah,
exactly. That's the problem. Chase Cota joining us, Brady Breeze here, Danny and Justin live from the club room in Autzen as we celebrate draft night. By the way, as we were talking, the Bears took Colston Loveland from Michigan, a tight end off the board. Okay. And what's really strange is that Tyler Warren was sitting out there still. And so they went to the Michigan guy. Go blue, I guess, if you're so inclined. Let's stay, and I'm going to not keep trying to touch the third rail here, but this one's going to be a little bit easier. The college football playoff has to evolve, and it's going to keep evolving. And, seeding's been one thing. Site selection's been another thing. Our proposal has always been, why don't you get rid of all these long buys? Why don't we have the first 2 rounds be at the higher seeds home sites? And then you pull in the bowl games for the semifinal and national championship game. It's going to eliminate one bowl game every year of the big daddies in that sequence. But your opinion of a playoff and how it needs to evolve, because I think we are going to move to that 12, 14, 16 team model.
Yeah.
Who wants to touch it first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I 100% agree with you. Before you even got to that on the back end, I was going to say just have to move it up. Like, obviously, like the top 4 seeds, like it did not go very well for them at all. So I think that would be a big deal. Just like being able to stay in that, because like a bye week's a bye week. That's fine. You can get over that. But having like 2 full bye weeks in 20 days, like that's one way to look at it. But I don't know. I think it'll be cool. Like, the season, it's already, like we said, it's going to be more like the NFL with NIL. So I think if they add more games, I think that will come with that too. Once guys are getting paid, TV contracts,
well,
all
the guys
that.
that are playing the national championship game, for the most part, they're playing their 16th game.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't think there will be any added games to the regular season necessarily, because then, I mean, you have to think about school, like transfer portal and all that. Like, it'll bleed way too far into January, and it's like, okay, like, are the 6 years going to be enrolled in school, or does that matter? It's like, okay, like, are the 6 years going to be enrolled in school, or does that matter? Who knows? But that's probably separate from what we're even thinking of. But then it's like, I think it'll end up being probably 16, 20 teams, and maybe go from there. I don't know, maybe 32. You never know. But I think 32, like 1 versus 32, wouldn't really be a good game. So we'll see. I think it'd just be probably 16 would be. I'd see that being like the furthest expansion, but I don't really have an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you guys. I think we should move it up. Obviously, as Duck fans, we're all like, move it up, move it up. But yeah, I would love to see a playoff game in Autzen Stadium. That would be pretty.
All right, so Brady, I'll start with you. Your favorite moment in a Duck uniform? Anybody else or yourself? I know I got mine in my. Go ahead.
Are you talking about as myself making plays, or just in general?
Whatever. With the first, if I say that to you, the first thing that comes to your mind as when you were a player.
Man, that's a great question.
Because you were around for quite a few.
Yeah, man, that's tough. You put me on the spot. I got to think about this.
Absolutely. So you want Chase to go first then?
The first thing that popped into my mind was just scoring my first touchdown in Autzen.
There you go.
Like, against Stanford. It was like our 5th game of the season or so, and I remember because it was a little longer, so I got to hear the crowd roar while I was still running. I was like, oh, that's pretty special. Like, I remember all of it. I remember looking up at the jumbotron while I was running and everything, and then celebrating with your teammates. It's like, yeah, I could run through that whole sequence, like the whole minute, like in my head, like it was yesterday. So that was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for myself as a player at Oregon, I would definitely say the Rose Bowl. Being able to score the touchdown in the Rose Bowl, that was my favorite moment. That's a selfish moment, but my favorite team moment.
No, come on, man.
It was a huge play. Man.
It was a
definitely, it was a year moment.
So humble. You're being so humble right now. Chase was right too, man. I'm looking at myself, the jumbotron.
No, I remember the whole thing.
That's the man right there. That's okay. Go ahead now. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, definitely scoring the Rose Bowl is pretty sweet. Coming to the sideline, and the crazy thing is people are like, hey, you got to get ready to go back on defense. You got to go run down on kickoff. You got to go like get ready. So I didn't really have time to sit and celebrate and soak it in. It's like, I'm just trying to catch my breath, get ready to go back out. We had a long series. And I was supposed to come out of that series. I still obviously remember like it was, yesterday. I was supposed to come out, but I was, still doing punt return and everything. And I saw the call that we were doing a punt rush. I'm like, oh, I'm not coming out. Like, let me get this punt rush. We've been practicing it all week. This guy that I was watching on film was just kind of being lackadaisical. So I'm like, this is going to be my chance. Sure enough, I rush it. The guy's right there, block it, pick it up. And the rest was history. But coming to the sidelines, having the guys, just going nuts. Like, dude, you just scored a touchdown in the Rose Bowl. I'm like, yeah, I guess I did. But I got to get back on defense. They're shoving the iPad in my face, like talking about the new scheme that we got going on. So I didn't really get to soak it in as much as I wanted to, but it was still, pretty sweet.
All right, so I've been doing this with all the former players that have been here with us, for the fans that are out there, and then that'll go into perpetuity. Catch everybody up on what you guys are doing. Chase, what are you up to right now?
Yeah, so I've just been training, just staying ready, just here at the end of the draft, kind of see what my next move will be, what team I'll be with next, and then hopefully continue the football journey and see where that pans out. And I'm here in town. I've been in Eugene, so I've been training a little bit at the facility and then a little bit just on my own, just with people throwing at the rec fields and stuff. So
great.
That's what I'm into.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same case, training for some tryout opportunities or OTA opportunities for after the draft. Both our agents has obviously been calling teams and stuff, trying to figure out information, but no teams really make decisions obviously until after the draft when they have missing pieces of some positions they want. So just staying in shape. Been training down at Exos in Arizona. Been doing that. Been studying for my finance licenses. Going to be a financial advisor once I'm done playing. So getting that ball rolling. So when I'm done, I can get going, work for Breeze Financial Group. So
nice.
Yeah, want to get that ball going. So when my career's officially over, boom, I can just roll right in.
That's great, guys.
So.
Both of you, thank you so much. Say hi to your dad when you see him. He won't remember me, but he might remember me. I don't know.
Well,
we had a pretty
he just
good
walked around here a second ago. We'll see him in a minute.
Okay, we'll see you in a minute. We need to get a picture all together. Brady, very nice
great.
to see you as well, young man. Thank you.
You
Best
too.
of luck to both of you. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks
man.
for being here.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
thanks.
That is Chase Cota and Brady Breeze as we're getting ready for the program. OKB's up on the stage. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you very much as the Danny and Justin program rolls on here from the club at Autzen. As
thank you
we
so
are
much.
just thank you. As we get ready,
Pleasure.
as the guys are all lining up and Kenyon's on the stage talking right now. We're live here on YouTube. We just had another pick is in the Cowboys. We got to catch up on this, Justin.
Yeah, we got to catch up on the draft. Tyler Booker, so guard from Alabama. So I feel like that's a bit of a surprise pick as well. Don't see him this high on a lot of the boards I'm looking at. I definitely think Colston Loveland is a big surprise for me. I know that, as Duck fans and people that watch the games, we saw both of those tight ends. Both of them did very well against Oregon. I think Colston Loveland was by far the best player for Michigan, especially offensively when the Ducks played him. And we all know what Tyler Warren is able to do. Obviously had a 200-yard game, is able to do a lot of different things from different positions. So I'm a little bit surprised that the Bears decided to pass up on on Tyler Warren and go with Colston Loveland. But I did hear that there was a debate about those two guys.
So let's get everybody caught up since we've missed a couple of picks. I'm just going to go from one all the way up to the present. The Dolphins are right now on the clock, and right now they have just about 7 minutes left, and I think the pick's coming in here pretty quick. So Cam Ward went first to the Tennessee Titans. Not a big surprise there as the Titans hold on to that pick. The big surprise started with Jacksonville and Cleveland trading picks as Jacksonville moves up for the second pick, and they take Travis Hunter out of Colorado. Then the Giants are on the board. They take Abdul Carter out of Penn State, the edge rusher. Then's New England, who was slotted to take offensive tackle Will Campbell from LSU, and they did exactly that. Then a little bit of a surprise, but moving up in the ranks, another defensive tackle goes, this time to Cleveland, who traded down, and they grab Michigan's Mason Graham. Ashton Genty goes to the Raiders, and so now Pete Carroll, he's got his little speedy back, although there's not a lot of the pundits that like this pick, but I don't think it's that horrible a pick as well.
I like the pick.
So Ashton Genty to the Raiders in the 6th. Armand Memumbu is the 7th pick for the Jets, the offensive tackle out of Missouri. Tetra McMillan goes to the Panthers with the 8th pick, the wide receiver from Arizona. And on everybody's board, he was the number 1 wide receiver out there.
Besides Travis Hunter, of course.
Well, yeah, the both ways. And we talked about that with a couple of the former Ducks that have been here already. Kelvin Banks, the offensive tackle guard out of Texas, goes to New Orleans with the 9th pick. And then Colston Loveland, the tight end from Michigan, goes to the Bears with pick number 10. Pick number 11, it's Michael Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia, who goes.
And now, was that a
to,
trade for the 49ers?
It didn't say a trade that I see on here. So
yeah,
you
it looks
might
like
have
they
to
were
go back
slotted at 11.
at 11. So the Niners get Williams out of Georgia, and the pick that just came in, it's Tyler Booker, guard from Alabama, goes to the Dallas Cowboys with the 12th pick. So again, so the big names that are still on the board for this draft right now are pretty much what we thought, as the narrative has been, who's going to take the chance on Shedeur Sanders, and so he's starting to drop a little bit. I am kind of surprised, since the tight end's already come off the board, that Tyler Warren's still on the board and available.
As I said, I was hearing teams about those two guys. I think Colston Loveland's more of the modern day extra receiver at that tight end position. I don't know how insane of a blocker he is. I don't think that's his strength, but he's certainly somebody that was really impressive, as I said, when we saw him against the Ducks. And then, but yeah, Tyler Warren is one of those guys where I think that the comparisons to Bowers may be a little bit overblown, and we all saw what he did last year and how much of an impact he made. But I think Tyler Warren's a really good player. I think he's the type of player that a really creative coach could really use and do a lot of things with. So we'll see where he goes. He could be a guy that falls a little bit. I have heard a little bit about his blocking. People have some questions about that, but I think he's a good player. Certainly a guy that deserves to be a first-round pick.
So, again, the Dolphins are on the clock right now. We're going to step aside for a few minutes. They just started the program up here at the club room at Autzen Stadium, as Justin and I will be back as we will continue our coverage here live on YouTube as we celebrate the Ducks. There is still a duck on the board. There are still a couple of ducks on the board. And first round is still plenty of time left, as we're only at pick number 12, number 13 right now. I believe we are number 13. The Dolphins pick is in, so we'll have that when we come back here at the club room on YouTube. And we're back. The Danny and Justin show is live. Oh, there he is with the salute.
The salute.
All right, we got to get all the listeners back.
We're not just a radio show now.
That's right. And so now you've seen us in living color, and we've got our lanyards on.
Yeah, we got
and
our
you
official.
you're all official.
Yeah.
So let's run down what we've learned so far. Is that Cam Ward is going to be the savior now in Tennessee at quarterback. That Shedeur Sanders is still out there waiting to be picked up. That there's already one tight end off the board, but it's not Oregon Duck Terrace Ferguson, and it's not Tyler Warren.
No, there's two off the board.
Oh, they're another one.
Colts, the Colts got
right.
Warren,
They just
Warren,
took one off the board, right? So sorry about that. Let's run down through all of the picks thus far as we are back here at the club at Autzen Stadium on the Danny and Justin show. We'll be here through the first round. We're going to try and get all the way through the first round with you. So if you just hang on with us, we'll still have some more ducks that will float on in here as we move through this evening here at the club. It is a packed room. I want to show everybody the packed room again. There's the packed room as the program has started in earnest here on the Danny and Justin. Well, it's not our event. We're just guests,
sure.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
So Cam Ward went number one. We all know to Tennessee. Well, you know now if you didn't. Travis Hunter, after a trade with Cleveland, Jacksonville moves up to number two, and they grab the cornerback / wide receiver from Colorado, Travis Hunter. Abdul Carter goes number 3 to the Giants. Will Campbell, offensive tackle from LSU, goes number 4 to New England. And number 5, defensive tackle from Michigan, Mason Graham, goes to Cleveland. Why don't you tell everybody who went 6 there, Judge? It's right here.
Yeah, Ashton Genty went number 6. Mond Membu out of Missouri, the offensive tackle, went number 7. That was to the Jets. A little bit of a surprise there, in my opinion, but I've heard some buzz about him. Tetairoa McMillan, after what was reported to be a fall for him, he does not go out of the top 10. No, he goes a little bit higher than I think people might have thought. This is probably around the higher spot that he could have gone to. I really don't think that the Raiders, the Jets, I don't think were in play. So this was about as high as I saw him going. Kelvin Banks, the tight end out of Texas, who was being recruited by the Ducks at one point, went to the Saints at number 9. Colston Loveland was a bit of a surprise at number 10 out of Michigan, the tight end over Tyler Warren, who went number 14 to the Colts. Michael Williams out of Georgia went number 11. That's an edge from Georgia to the 49ers. And then Tyler Booker, another guy that I think was a little bit lower on a lot of people's boards than he ended up going. But that's just the pre-draft. Nobody really knows evaluation was it. People thought Tyler Booker might have gone a little bit lower, but he goes at pick number 12 to the Cowboys. Kenneth Grant, the other defensive tackle, I should say, out of Michigan, goes to Miami. Miami's been looking to pick up their defense over the last couple of years for sure. I mentioned Tyler Warren to the Colts, and then the most recent selection was Jalen Walker, the linebacker out of Georgia. He goes to the Falcons at pick 15. Actually, and another pick just coming in, Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle from Ole Miss, going to the Cardinals. So on the board now is the Bengals at pick 17.
Yeah, the Bengals are on the clock at pick number 17, and we are racing through this first round. It'll just get through the first round tonight, and then it'll pick up with round number 2 and 3 tomorrow night, and then they'll have 3, 4, I think 4, 5, 6, and 7 will be the last night in Green Bay. And boy, I'll tell you, the crowds in Lambeau are just amazing. They have packed that place out, and I saw images on Twitter earlier of the videos of people driving down Mike Holmgren Way and other places around the stadium down there in Green Bay, and the local residents have figured out that they can make a little money off of this by, hey, you want to park in my driveway? It's $160. It's, put 5 cars in there and boom, you got your own, you got half your mortgage.
You probably pay right at the draft at that point.
Good if you got the tickets. So Bengals are on the clock. Then the Seahawks will pick in the 18th slot tentatively. Again, we've only had one trade of picks, and that was early on. That was right out of the gate with Jacksonville and Cleveland swapping picks. And I think Cleveland ended up with a pretty good end of that deal. They pick up another number 1 next year, I believe it is. So a first-round pick. So we'll see
I'm
how
curious
that
with
shakes
this
out.
too. How do you think Travis Hunter feels about this? I'm sure that he was contacted by the Jags. Well, he's sitting there looking at the board. I don't think he's thinking he's going to go anything lower than 2 or 3. It means that it was either going to be the Browns or the Giants or a trade. So does that mean that he must have talked to the Jacksonville Jaguars and must have had a good relationship with them? They were willing to do it, and because all the buzz before the draft was, hey, I think Cleveland's going to get him at number 2.
All supposition, but I'll just say that if you're Travis Hunter, you love that you get to go to a place that's got a good young quarterback. Is
he still a good young quarterback?
I think Trevor Lawrence is still a good young quarterback. We'll have this
here's
debate.
my opinion.
Okay,
my opinion is Trevor Lawrence, what we thought he is, would be, is exactly what Justin Herbert is. That's my opinion. Justin Herbert is exactly what we thought Trevor Lawrence would be. I think Trevor Lawrence is a fine young quarterback, but I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback, and that's just my opinion.
So I will do the comparison then, if I can expand this out to say the Cleveland situation versus the Jacksonville situation. I'd rather go to Jacksonville because Cleveland is a freaking hot mess.
I think TJ Ward said it the best.
He loves
bottom
Cleveland,
5,
though.
Bottom 5 place in terms of team that
in terms of the management of the team.
Right.
He loves the people of the city, loves the city.
Right.
However, I think that this trade did Travis Hunter a favor because I also think that the Jacksonville staff will give Travis Hunter that package that he wants, that he's going to be able to play both sides of the football. He might have been able to do that at Cleveland or anywhere else he would have been selected. But I think in this situation, I think he'll play more defense than offense, but I think they will have them. And I think, who was it? I think Jeremiah Johnson said 60-40. Play him defense 60%, 40% offense.
I'm not sure if he can do it. Now, Jackson State is in Mississippi, so it's not a return to Jacksonville for Travis Hunter, but Florida, that is somewhere that is seemingly close to home for him. So I can see it. You kind of explained it. I can see the benefit for Travis, and certainly he was a guy that it was always going to be number 2. Just where was he going to go? Who was going to get him?
So there's a lot of tight ends sitting up there on that dais right now with Kenyon Barner. You got George Reister. You got Ed Dixon. You got Dante Rosario. All played tight end. And then you got TJ Ward up there, and Brady up there.
Yeah.
And now if you've missed any of our program, you would have heard from every one of those except George Reister.
Yeah.
George is going to come join us once he's done off the dais there. And believe me, hold on to your hats because you won't have to worry about talking too much when George sits down here. The minister is going to join us here in a little bit. By the way, the Bengals pick is in, so that means that the Seahawks are going to be next on the clock, followed by Tampa Bay and then Denver. Denver's a very interesting situation for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah,
do they go offense or do they go defense? Do they get something more for Bo Nix to work with in terms of a skill position, or are they going to go line to try and help him with protection? Or do they say, you know what, let's go to the other side of the football? Sean Payton, very well-schooled, well-traveled coach and knows what he's doing there. So I think that is going to be a very interesting pick to see who's still left on the board with Denver, and they're 3 picks away from being up. So we'll find out what Cincinnati picks here in a moment.
Denver's financial situation has been documented, has been horrendous, and I think that finally they're starting to get out of it a little bit. I know that Russell Wilson's contract is coming up to an end here pretty soon. I think he might have one more year where they're still paying for that contract, but that makes these draft picks all the more important for a team like Denver, who you're going to get a guy that you want to have a lot of potential in a contract that is a rookie scale deal, which isn't going to be as much as a player from free agency, say. So for them, I think hitting on these draft picks is going to be huge. I could see them going with an offensive player, a weapon for Bo. I mean, a receiver might be nice. They have Troy Franklin there, obviously. A couple other guys.
Cortland Sutton comes to mind.
Yeah,
so
they've got some weapons there, but I think that's something that they could definitely improve upon. This is a very good running back class. I wouldn't expect them to go running back. I think that a lot of teams are going to get benefited by taking a running back in the later rounds. I think that's going to push them, besides Ashton Genty, who just is so clear-cut ahead of those other guys, to the later rounds. So, Sean Payton's a smart coach. He could always go defensive line. Derek Harmon, maybe that's a place he would fit. Josh Connerly, I believe, is still on the board. So maybe that's a place that Josh Connerly would like to go.
Both the Ducks that were but were mocked up to go in the first round are still out there. But we're not at that point where we thought one of them would be off the board yet.
No.
So
this isn't a surprise that they're still there yet.
And by the way, Coach Dan Lanning is with Josh Connerly. So whenever that pick comes in, I know here, and we'll try and squeeze into that a bit.
Yeah.
We'll have, we hope, Dan Lanning up on the big board as we're awaiting now the official announcement of the Bengal pick. This is their first pick in this 2025 NFL draft, and this is an interesting one as well. Again, it's the same question: do you get something?
This has got to be defense.
Well, I would say,
defense.
well,
I mean, this has been one of the best offenses. Joe Burrow scoring 50 points a game, and they can't play defense.
The only thing I'm going to tell you is that there's been a lot of offensive linemen taken in this first round already, and you've got to get some protection for Joe Burrow. He keeps getting knocked around. He's like a pinata back there a little bit. So I agree with you. It's probably going to end up being defense, but I don't see a skill position here.
No way.
So there's your edge rusher. It's Shamar Stewart.
Shamar
Stewart from Texas A&M.
And let me just pull up his numbers.
He goes to Cincinnati, and so Seattle is on the clock officially. So Stewart goes edge rusher, and again, I think that's maybe the third or fourth edge that have come off the board as well.
Yeah.
So
and Shamar Stewart, here's he's really interesting. Not a ton of production at Texas A&M, I believe. Only had 1.5 sacks this season, but where he's getting drafted this high is because of his raw athletic score. So he has at a scale of 10.
You mean he's a beast.
He's a 9.95. So that means that he's more athletic than 99.5% of players at his position at defensive end throughout the history of football. They calculate all these different numbers with guys in the combine throughout the years. It's not perfect, obviously, because some guys don't perform, and so you don't get literally all the numbers. But this basically what his numbers are in terms of his raw athletic score is his elite speed grade, elite explosion grade, and he has a very good size grade. So he's not the biggest guy, but certainly not a small guy at 6'5", 267 pounds. And so putting on a little bit of weight there, maybe 275, 280, and then with that athleticism, I think that certainly he's to be a guy that's why you're drafting, right? It's similar to maybe a guy like Packers defensive end, who I'm forgetting his name for now, out of Michigan. Shoot, what is his name?
When these thoughts come up in your head, it probably that's what you got your fingers on the pulse. So
Gary.
I'll let you struggle through that for a second. But next up is Seattle on the clock, and some of the mock drafts said that they were going to go offensive line for their new, I guess you would say, reinvention of the team with Pete Carroll moving on and Geno Smith moving on. So they might go offensive line in this. They're saying on some of the mock drafts that North Dakota State's Gray Zabel, who's still available, might be out there. But
could be a receiver fit as well. They just obviously traded away DK Metcalf right before the draft.
And Tyler Lockett
signed with the Titans.
Right. So they've got to replace some veterans across the board.
Absolutely.
In Seattle.
It's a new regime here, obviously. Rashawn Gary is who I was thinking of. He's a guy.
Well, you had Gary in there, so it's not the
there.
first name.
Yeah, Rashawn Gary is kind of the exact kind of player, it seems like, as Shamar Stewart. Someone that came in with very minimal production, not necessarily the most production in college, but just athletically, you sit there and you look at him and say, like, okay, we can't teach a guy to be 6'6" and this athletic. So you're going to get him in there, and coaches believe in themselves, right? They're going to get them guys in there and teach them techniques that they think will help them, and it's going to be up to a guy like Shamar Stewart to sort of hone in on those things. But for just going to Seattle again, I could see this kind of being any position, to be honest with you. Seattle seems to be in the best fit available, or best player available would make sense for them. There's some teams you look at them and you say, well, they really need this position. I still think it's a bad idea to just take a player based on that. But I think for Seattle, they're kind of in a spot right now where they could kind of go anywhere, right? They're just kind of in a new era, I guess you would say, for this team.
So we are fast approaching what could be the tipping point in this draft, because anybody who's on Shedeur Sanders' watch is going to be circling the number 21 pick, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now you're 3 picks away from that as the Seattle pick is in. So the money right now is on Sanders going to Pittsburgh as not the quarterback of the present, but the quarterback of the future?
You want to know what's going to happen?
Sure.
I'll tell you
I
what's
would
gonna
love
happen
that.
right
So
now.
wait a second. Can
One
I
of
bet
two
on this
things is
right
gonna
now?
happen.
Can I bet on it first? Go
Yes. He's
go ahead.
either going to be pick 32 or pick 1 of the second round.
You don't
That's
think he's
my
going
opinion.
to Pittsburgh?
No, because I think that if Pittsburgh was really interested in him, they would have traded up a little. If basically there were other teams that were interested in Shedeur Sanders, I think they would have traded up a little bit.
See, I don't think I don't necessarily. If you take a look at the teams that need a quarterback right now in the next couple of years, the list is not that long.
No, there's
And,
a lot of young quarterbacks right now. A lot of people have someone they can hang their hat on.
It's about where the fit was, and I didn't see it. I mean, in Atlanta, you just drafted a quarterback last year. In Chicago, you just drafted a quarterback. You know, I could go down the list, and you've got other guys that are still out there. And of course, Mel Kiper is saying that Shedeur Sanders is the best available out there right now.
It's certainly an opinion.
Well, it is an opinion, and everybody's entitled to one.
What's the saying?
But Mel Kiper doesn't draft
What's
one
the
player.
big quote about Mel Kiper?
He doesn't draft
Who
any
the blank
players.
is Mel Kiper?
You've been watching Bill Tobin interviews. Josh Simmons is an interesting selection out of Ohio
tackle,
State.
yeah.
He's still out there
Suffered
right
an injury.
now, right? Matthew Golden from Texas, the wide receiver, is still sitting out there. I mean, there are some players.
Looks like they went with the guard.
They went with Gray Zabel.
Right?
So,
Who you're out of the money.
well, thank you. I'm not the smartest guy in the shed. I'm just a very dull tool at that. Yeah, well, if you go back and listen to this about 3 minutes ago, I said that's exactly who they were going to pick. So they go to now. This has been an interesting offseason for Seattle. They've got some work to do on the offensive line to rebuild it. And again, they have made that commitment that with shedding the offensive players that they have, they're going to build from the middle out. And I don't know if this is a horrible, but I don't know a lot about Gray Zabel. I mean, if I said I did, okay, you're going to tell us
a little bit about it.
Okay.
Well, obviously he's from North Dakota State, which is not Division I, correct? But
I think TJ Ward just got the biggest laff in the room.
Listen,
right
he
now.
is hilarious.
Okay,
hilarious.
Sorry to derail that where you're talking
so
about.
Obviously, North Dakota State, heralded program, not in Division I. They're right below, if I'm
FCS.
correct. They're the FCS, and so they're a school that typically puts out guys in this kind of range in the late first round, early second round. His raw athletic score is not complete, but what he did test, he was at a 9.49 out of 10. So it means you're getting based off his athleticism. It's kind of something you would do, right, for a guy at that level. You look at him, and if you're going to get him in the first round, you're going to have to look at that guy and say, well, physically, he dominates this level, and there's no way that anybody else at this level could touch him. So obviously, he's meant for the next level.
So
23 years old, by the way.
Right. So, but the other thing that I just noticed as I'm reading this, I don't know if you had this in yours, is that he can play multiple positions on the line. He's played left guard. He's played all the way over to right tackle. So there's some versatility there that a new coaching staff can play with and groom. And he does have some maturity. Now, are you going to have a good, strong offensive lineman who goes through the wears and tears of what the rigors of an NFL season would be like for another 10 years? It could happen. But, he is the anomaly of being a little bit older at this position. So whether that helps or hurts, only time's going to tell. But Seattle's got their guy in the first round. He's a first-round pick, so he's got that. He'll never be able to take that away from him. It's Gray Zabel who goes to the Seahawks. So that means the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. And this is another one, do they go offense to try and help out Baker Mayfield? Do they go defense? Do they go linebacker? Probably linebacker or the back end for Tampa Bay. I mean, the experts are saying Campbell from Alabama, the linebacker, could be a great fit. They compare him to Brian Cushing or Tremaine Edmonds.
I think offensive line
6'3",
would make sense if you're going to go offense.
He's a junior. He's 21 years old. But, I mean, I could see, again, this is one where there's a couple of opportunities for fits. I mean, I agree with you. It could be offensive line because what they've seen now and the emergence of Bucky Irvin.
Nice catch,
partner.
Thank
you very much, man. I had it turned around in the back, and there we go. Beautiful. And I got my assist from my boys from Portland. There's Tommy Meyer and Adam Olbach. He's you know what?
With the assist.
If you ever see Adam during his job in Gresham, that's not a good thing for you, probably, unless he's taking a report trying to help you out. He's one of the guys that protects and serves us. And Tommy Meyer from Nike Anything I ever need from Nike, I just call Tommy up, and poof, it ends up on my doorstep. No, not really, but he helps me. He helps me when I need. And by the way, I just want to show you how many lanyards they gave me.
Wow, you got 3?
I got 3.
Why do you get 3?
I don't know.
Because you're affiliated with multiple different places. I see. I only got the 1, but it's pretty cool.
That's what you got. Your name was spelled right, correct? Right?
Yeah,
it was. All right, there you go.
I'm gonna keep this. This is nice. I'm gonna keep this.
That's beautiful.
Defense. I think for Tampa Bay,
what's up?
Would make sense.
Oh no, it's okay. It's all right, buddy.
Oh,
yeah, that's all right. There we got the kids right. Oh yeah, it's not a problem at all. Believe me,
we're just having fun.
If that's the worst thing that happened to us today, we're in really good shape. So
Derek Carmen, maybe. I mean, this could be a slot that would make sense.
I would.
The Oregon guys, I think, would make sense. Your offensive line, defensive line. I just think about what the Eagles did, and you're gonna have to prepare for that on 2 fronts. If you want to be a team that wins, you got to have a good defensive line. But also, I think there is gonna be a trend toward teams going defensive line. The best teams have great defensive lines. So going offensive line, it's not the sexy pick. It never is. But Danny, sometimes it is the best pick.
While I vamp here for a second, can you count up how many offensive linemen have already gone in this? Because sure. I think that's an interesting point. And for Tampa Bay, their pick is in. So Denver is going to be on the clock next. And then everyone's going to be sitting and watching and waiting to see what Pittsburgh does after that.
All right. So we have 3 tackles and 2 guards.
So
we're multiple positional guys that you mentioned.
So almost a third of the draft. Well, actually, it's right now a little less than a quarter of the draft have been offensive linemen.
Yeah.
In the less, we're only 19 picks in. I mean, then we don't have the 19th pick yet, although it's up on the board right now as the Buccaneers have just turned their pick in. And again, Denver is slated to be on the board next, and then Pittsburgh, followed by the Los Angeles Chargers. And again, these stories that we can start to develop with some of these different teams and their needs. And obviously, you can, on our Fox Sports Eugene affiliate, you can listen to all the Chargers games. And of course, Justin Herbert, near and dear to our heart, the quarterback there. So it'll be interesting to see in a few moments what they come in with, but we'll be also interested to see what the Buccaneers have here at number 19.
So also, I believe it was 6 defensive linemen / edges were drafted. So between those 2 positions, you're looking at the trenches right now, Danny. Only a few skill position players. Obviously, you had the quarterback go number 1.
Couple of tight ends.
Travis Hunter, the ultimate skill position player.
So there it is. And 2 tight ends.
And a couple linebackers.
And one wide receiver.
One wide receiver, a couple tight ends, a quarterback, and Travis Hunter can do both wide receiver and cornerback.
So now they're showing shots of Shedeur Sanders right now.
No way he goes to Tampa.
No
way.
No, and that look tells me that he's not going to Tampa. I will guarantee you, if they put a camera on Shedeur Sanders during the time where Pittsburgh's on the clock and he's on the phone somewhere, then that locks it for me.
Here's why I think he's going to go pick 32 or pick 1 of the second round. I think he's going to go pick 32 because there's a reason why you would do that. If you like him and you really like him, it'd be similar to Emeka Egbuka.
Emeka Egbuka goes to the Buccaneers, so they went offense, so they went wide out. So that's going to be interesting with Chris Evans. Mike Evans.
No, it kind of makes sense because Godwin, I believe, had a major injury at the end of last year. Mike Evans just signed a short-term contract with them to stay, but they're certainly older. Chris Godwin's a little bit younger, but again, the injury. So, Jerry McMillan is another guy that they brought in there as well out of Washington. So they've got some talent there, but I could see it. I can kind of understand. Maybe not what I would have done personally.
So the Broncos are on the clock right now.
Broncos on the clock. What was I saying before?
No, it was about the comparison of.
Why I would take Shedeur at 32 or 1, basically, or pick 1 of the second round.
Well, it's not going to be 32 because that's Philadelphia's pick. They're not going to draft Shedeur.
No, but you would trade him. But no, I'm saying why you trade the pick, and the reason why you do that is to get that 5th year. The best thing possible in the NFL right now is to get a quarterback on a rookie scale deal. And if you want to get that 5th year, you got to do it in the first round. So if you really like him, then a team could, I think, theoretically trade back into pick 32 and take him in the first round. I also think that the other option would be for a player to a team to really sit there and say, well, we like him enough in the second round to where you have a whole day. This is the difference now, Danny. You have a whole day where teams can sit there and make calls and sit there and say, well, we kind of want this. So I could see a team coming back at the end of after the end of day 1 and in day 2 saying, okay, well, there's probably 3 or 4 teams. We always see this. There's kind of guys that slipped out of round 1 that you look at the beginning of round 2 and say, well, these guys are going to be the coveted ones. And you guys, you see teams slot up and trade to get those guys. So I really do think he's not going to fall much past that 32-1 range.
So my only counter to that is, how much more time do you really need? So are you talking about you wanted to see how the dust settled in round 1 and who took what, and that might change my decision on who I'm going to take in day 2? I mean, when you said you want to think about it another 24, what's another 24 hours really going to do at this point when you've had months?
In terms of if you basically if you want to take this guy, then
I think you've already made that decision. I don't think you need another 24 hours.
I'm not saying you have. I'm just saying that what you're doing is, and it looks like there's some handshake. No, this is from the previous pick. What I'm saying is basically, if you decide I want Shedeur Sanders and you don't want to take him in the first round, it seems likely that he's going to basically fall. Hey,
George, finish eating, and then sit down. No, finish eating and then sit. Don't let that get any colder than it is. We got plenty of time, buddy. You're our only guy. You sit there. You're going to be off camera. You can sit there and finish your meal. There you go. So we'll have the great George Reiser, the minister, is going to be joining us in just a moment.
We can ask his opinion on this.
Well, he's going to have an opinion on it. It's probably going to be the correct one.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a busy man. He's been interviewing a lot of head coaches. He's got some hot takes. We are live on YouTube. We don't do it as well as George does, but we'll be talking with the minister here in a few moments. He just got done on the dais there with it almost was like tight end U up there again with Dante and Ed and George up there, and old TJ Ward. He looked like a munchkin up there compared to all those guys up there. And we had TJ on earlier, man. He and I'm telling you, he and JJ, they need to do. I think I'm onto something.
No,
in fact, I need to get a piece of that. If they do anything, I'm going to make sure I get a little piece of that. So the Broncos are on the clock, and then the Steelers up next.
The moment of truth.
Well, I mean, this is going to be great because we're going to have
the next GOAT, according to Shedeur, whether it's him or not.
So we're going to have George on when that pick comes in. That's going to have the instant reaction. So if you're not around for that, shame on you. So the draft is gone. I would say there's not been a huge, shakeup or shock as far as I'm concerned.
Besides the Travis Hunter trade.
Well, I mean,
I wouldn't say it was a shock, but it was a surprise, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, but
you just can't see it coming.
But the thing is that is how much, in hindsight, you would know that Jacksonville coveted Travis Hunter, because if you trade up to 5, you give away another number 1 pick in that package to Cleveland. And if you're sitting there in Mio Mayo, Ohio, and you're a Cleveland Browns fan, you got to be going, what is this organization doing to us? Are they ever going to put a winner back on the field for us?
Well, that's what I was saying earlier.
Cleveland, Ohio.
You're going from, maybe you're looking at the team and thinking defensive line could be ultimately the best position for them. But are you excited about this if you're a Cleveland fan? You could have had Travis Hunter, one of the most exciting players, not just in this draft class, but that we've seen for a long time. And you're getting a defensive lineman. And maybe that's the best move, but in terms of a Cleveland fan who's looking at Deshaun Watson at quarterback, they need anything they can get, right?
As you well know, I have a lot of friends back in that Cleveland area. And whenever we get together, I talk Packers, they talk Browns, and I get to hear the pulse. Much more fun for me, and has been for a lot of years. But here's the thing that they have really been struggling with they feel like Cleveland's got the money to spend, but they're just putting it in the wrong places, and they cannot get out of their own way when it comes to making these big decisions. Now, honestly, I think they fumbled this. I think Travis Hunter could have been a player they could have started to build around. They still have that question at quarterback. What are they going to do? They bring in Joe Flacco for this year. Here's another rented quarterback.
He is on
his last. He's on his last.
Gonna die on the football field.
He's on his last. But this is the boots on guy. He's on his last breath. But they bring him in, and he can be a serviceable quarterback. You don't know what's going to happen, but he's going to be better than anybody else you're going to run out there. I mean, he's
better than Deshaun Watson at this point. I'll tell you that. I don't know. I mean, I think for Cleveland at this point, are they still being run by the guy that did the Moneyball stuff? Is he still the leader over there?
Which one are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about the Moneyball guy. I'm talking about
Billy
Jonah Hill character. No.
Oh no, the other guy.
I forgot his name.
Yeah, see, that's the one where it's at
this is where
top of my head right there. But the pick is in for the Broncos. This is another interesting one for us. Danny and Justin here live at the club at Autzen. as we are here celebrating draft night. The Ducks are still on the board that we've been watching. Derek Hardman. And in the green room right now is Matthew Golden, the Texas wide receiver. They got the camera on him right now. Is Denver going to go offense? Are they going to go grab a wide receiver here with the 20th pick and then put Cleveland on the clock?
He is still there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Paul Podesta, who is actually the Jonah Hill character was a fictional character based off of Paul Podesta, but this is the guy that sort of was, intrinsically linked with Billy Beane in Moneyball. So it hasn't necessarily worked out for them. I want to say that's actually when all their kind of poor decision making started. They made the playoffs with Baker Mayfield, and then kind of ever since that one playoff run, it's been downhill for there.
We had this question as well with Waz today on the program about analytics versus instinct.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think there's a lot more that goes into evaluating a potential NFL player than it would be in any other sport. Baseball has its own as well, but either one of those, George, is fine, buddy, when you're ready. And the Broncos are getting ready to announce their pick, and then it will be the Steelers, and we've already got the pick up on ours. They haven't announced it up there. It's Jade Barron, the quarterback out of Texas. So they did go defense.
Packers were maybe potentially looking at a couple picks from now, but as we welcome in George Reister, of course, former Oregon tight end. George, so big buzz right now, at least for us, is Shedeur Sanders. Everybody thinks that possibility is to go to number 21 with the Steelers. And here's my opinion. I kind of think he's going to go either pick 32 or pick 1 of the second round. And here's why I say why.
Okay.
I think that the best thing right now in the NFL is a quarterback on a rookie scale contract.
Yes.
If you like Shedeur Sanders, it may make sense to trade up for him in the later part of the first round, like an a la Lamar Jackson, what we saw the Baltimore Ravens did. What was that, man? A long time ago now, 6 or 7 years ago. So I think it could make sense for a team, if the Steelers pass on him at number 20, to go up and get him at number 32. Or I could see him also getting drafted really early in that second round, maybe those first couple of picks, where a team gets 24 hours to decide to make that move to go up to the first round, as we see some guys fall into that top of the second round. What are your thoughts?
Well, having a quarterback on a rookie wage scale deal is obviously great, right? It helps you, especially if he's able to play early. If you're in the Jordan Love situation, that's also beneficial if you're with the Packers. Then he has the chance to develop, to grow, and you're not paying him a ton of money at that point in time. But the thing that you brought up, though, is that you do want to have that 5th-year extension on them, because if they do play well, they get to the money a little bit faster. And that means that your cap's going to take a bigger hit earlier. So there definitely is a significant impact because of that. But as far as Shedeur, the actual football player, goes, I think he's a polarizing figure because, number one, when you look at their offense at Colorado, there is a lot of short passes, the deep pass. There's not a lot of intermediate routes. But the question is, why? Can he throw those routes? Or do you look at the offensive line and say, there was no time to throw those routes? It's either chuck it deep or quick screens and stuff like that. And that's what you see on film from him. So I do believe that Colorado and the way that they played, with what the hand that they were dealt and the hand that they dealt themselves on offense, that it made it tougher on him, his dad, and all that. So he's a polarizing figure. And if he had a different last name, I do believe that you would have a different sense about him, probably more favorably than it is right now.
So you're not buying into some of the things that have been said about Shedeur with he holds on to the ball too long, or
I think he does.
Okay.
Okay. So did Caleb Williams.
Right.
So does Cam Ward. Those are the
pretty good quarterbacks.
Yeah, the last 2 number 1 overall picks. So I do believe that you can nitpick and kind of
the pick's in.
Yeah, that you can nitpick and try to find something wrong with everything in between. And now we're watching Jackson Dart. They're showing Shedeur
that'd
Sanders.
be interesting.
Well, I didn't see Shedeur on the phone, but they had a back shot of him, though. So I was just telling Justin that if I would see Shedeur on the phone, if they had that shot, then we know what it is.
Nobody is talking about the guy that's in the green room, which is Jalen Milroe. Now, mind you, I would not draft Jalen Milroe in the first round.
Right.
But we have no idea what the Steelers are doing. Well, we will in a second.
Do you think but you would think they are going quarterback with their situation, but it isn't in the first round, though. That's what I'm saying.
At some point, I always say that, yes, the quarterback's the most valuable position, but don't do anything reckless just to get a quarterback. If you don't love them like that, don't do it.
And you kind of going back to the offensive line for Colorado and what Shedeur had to deal with. Is that sort of why the draft is so difficult? Is because, like, how do you even evaluate a guy when obviously he's Deion's son and there's all that stuff going into it, but you look at what the offensive line was. I mean, just even think about the Oregon game. I mean, he literally had no time at all. But also, when he did have times, he still held onto the ball a little bit. So is that one of those things where you just really needed to see him in a good situation to truly evaluate him, and now you're kind of guessing a little bit?
Oh, well, here it is. Nope.
No,
They get Derek Harden.
Hey.
Wow. There's the first duck off the board.
First duck off the board.
First duck off the board going to Steel City.
That's a great spot.
And that is a great position.
There.
Mike Tomlin, head coach.
And you have a true worker, a special player in TJ Watt. You have Cam Hayward there.
And look at Derek, man. I think he's almost in tears.
He is. That's awesome.
And this is a kid that took a chance coming back out here as well. I mean, he
gambled on himself.
He did, but it worked out. He's a first round draft pick.
Yep. He came from Michigan State, transferred out here to Oregon, got a chance to get under the Dan Lanning and Tosh Lupoy tutelage with that ridiculous defensive line, and he played his ass off. I mean, if we're really being honest.
Well, we can.
And he was a special player. And that's actually one of the things, as I remember in the beginning of the season, he just jumped off the film. You were like, yo, this dude is special. But to see it be recognized like this, and you're also seeing a lot of this with the Oregon defensive line to begin with. Next year, you're going to have at least one first round pick.
Mateo.
With Mateo and Tuioti is going to get drafted. He's going to have a really good career, and you have a bunch of young guys as well. And that's why this recruiting weekend is so big, because you're going to have one of the best defensive ends in the entire country, Richard Wesley, on campus as well. That's one that the Ducks definitely want to close as well.
George Reister joining us. You can listen to him on the Unafraid show. So are you still doing the satellite thing? Man, are you done with that finally? Or can you say anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
I mean, you looked at me like,
no,
you're talking about my like,
No. So my contract was up in December.
Right. Because you and I talked about this.
Yeah. And they offered me another 2-year deal. And I said no. It's time to move on and continue.
Yeah, you got your own brand you're building now.
Yeah, and it's been really, really good. I've had a chance to go around the country talking to a lot of coaches. There have been so many opportunities that I can't talk about yet that are going to happen in the fall that are going to be tremendous. I could not have done that without doing what Derek Harmon did, taking a chance on myself. It's been better for my family, because for 4 years, every night I go to bed, my wife is asleep, and obviously work is important, money is important, but the kind of the toll it was taking on my family, and I wasn't getting a chance to like go to practices or pick them up, and they're asleep when I finished working, and I didn't want to look back and my kids be out of the house and just say,
goes fast, man.
Yeah, but you know what? I worked really, really hard, and there is, of course, you want to be able to provide for them and all of that, but at the same time, you can't get that time back.
All right, so out of the three of you that were up on that dais a minute ago, who's the best tight end? I didn't ask Ed this question, but he's like roaming around here looking at you. I think he wants to talk to you about something else. But
I would say
that's an unfair question. Come on, we're having fun.
No, out of all the Oregon tight ends that came through,
we already did this.
Oregon, Ed had the benefit of playing under the Chip
Kelly system.
Yeah.
But Ed was tremendous. And when you look at the record books, you look at all the special things that he did, and he had a really good NFL career too.
Mhm.
Like if he had gone to the NFL and played like 1 or 2 years, I'd be like, your boy should be. But there's been a lot of really good guys. Justin Peele had a really long career as well.
Juwan Johnson?
Yeah.
Still in the NFL?
Yeah, still in the NFL.
Yes. Because I mean, here he was a
The
wide
tight end,
receiver.
or a wide receiver, yeah.
Yeah. But he's doing well down there with the Saints. You've had
Munt?
Wilcox Munt. Yes, Johnny Munt is still playing football. And so there have been a lot of guys. And that's actually one of the things that got me to come to the University of Oregon was just the amount of tight ends that had gone to the NFL. And now you see that continuing because tomorrow we should see another tight end drafted in Terrence Ferguson.
Absolutely.
And so it's fun. It's fun to watch. It's fun to see. You get a chance to build a relationship with the guys. I was texting Terrence earlier.
How's he doing?
He's doing good. I mean, it's easier for guys. I told the story earlier about my draft story about how.
And I want to hear this. I heard you talk about this earlier.
Yeah.
Because you related this about how your emotions on that day.
Yes.
And how looking back on it. Go ahead. Tell that to everybody who's listening.
Okay, so draft day, and I'll give you the brief version. I started getting calls in the second round, and specifically the Cowboys, we're going to draft you in 5 picks. Cool, no problem. Everything's fine because I'm expected to be a second round pick. All is happy. I would have got a chance to go to the Dallas Cowboys. Man, I could not have scripted life any better. And to make a long story short, I don't get drafted until the entire first day ends. And my family was there, my girlfriend was there, and I was embarrassed. I was disappointed. I was frustrated. I was jealous. I was mad. I was all those emotions. And then fast forward to the next day, because I left home that night. And then I came back. I left for a few hours, came back. Next morning, I'm laying on my parents' couch. Phone rings. Jacksonville calls. Hey, George, we're going to draft you here. All right, man, are you ready to be a Jaguar? I said, yes, coach. And just kind of hung up the phone. My parents just thought it was just a normal phone call.
Wow.
And pick comes up. My parents are jumping, excited, jumping through the roof. They're so happy. And I showed no emotion. It just lay there. I was like, okay, cool. And I regret that to this day. I posted a video on Unafraid Show on YouTube about it. I regretted it because I felt like that it didn't honor the sacrifice that my parents made driving up in their Pontiac Bonneville from LA on Fridays after work, driving 12, 13 hours up here to Eugene to get a chance to watch me play. And I didn't feel like I honored them in that moment because I made it about me. And this was something that we all did together, that they sacrificed so much, and to kind of ruin that moment, I felt bad about it. But in looking back, my mom pointed out 12,000 people finish playing college football every single year. 365 go to the combine. 265 get drafted. You did something special, and you were number 104. You weren't even in the second half of the thing. So you did something special. Enjoy that. And this does not determine how long you will play in the NFL, how good you will play in the NFL. This is just a starting point. So basically, she said, pick it up and get it in gear, bro.
Well, it's good you had Mama right there. And
Yeah.
that was probably the story you could probably tell yourself now to the younger self and to the Terrence Fergusons of the world. I mean, he's not in that exact position, but I mean, that's where the maturity comes in.
And
as
that's
well.
what I told T. Ferg and I've talked to him prior to today and some of the other guys that I've talked to. Listen, don't get yourself wrapped up in this moment because just you got to stay appreciative. And I've talked to Farrell Brown about this, who's still playing in the NFL.
That's another one we didn't talk about
right now. What is he? 8 years in now.
Yeah.
And as an undrafted guy who had torn up his knee and everything else, and when you see him now, married, 2 kids, living a good life, he's made some really good investments. He's doing well, and it's just a pleasure to to see and to not get wrapped up into the minutia, because at the end of the day, yes, winning football games is important and people want to win Super Bowls. But I tell people this all the time, is that the most important thing about being a professional athlete is the opportunity that you get to create something special for you and your family. Is you get a chance to create a head start in life where you can change the fortunes of your entire family and the direction of your family. And that doesn't mean that you're supposed to be paying everybody's bills and all of that stuff, but you change the mentality, the doors that get open. You're able to facilitate other opportunities for people in your family that want to do great things as well. And that's why when players are asked, like, oh my gosh, you're not worried about winning. All you want is the money and this and that. Well, how many guys are selling their Super Bowl rings?
Good point. No.
Yes. So would you rather have a the one of the biggest radio contracts in the entire country, or to be number one on talkers?
Wow. Great question.
One usually comes with the other, but
well, see, the thing is with me, and it's a fair question, but you got me thinking now, man. You asking me questions for? I'm supposed to be the one asking questions to you. To me, that kind of stuff, the whole talker thing or an award or anything else. Justin's heard me say this over and over, so he's not going to be surprised when I say this. That to me is just vanity.
Yep.
That is that I don't need that. I do this. I'll just say it to everyone. I don't get paid for this. I do this because I love this.
Yeah.
Because I want to bring people joy and information and lend my energy out there and whatever little skill that I have to be able to use this and give my perspective on something. And I think a sane perspective is what I want to do, because I think God blessed me with some gifts that I should be able to give them out to somebody else. That's why I do it.
Yep. See, and that's the thing, is that when you see and when you recognize this as a gift, right? And that you get a chance to share your gift with the world and share your gift with other people, that changes your perspective, because now it doesn't become about me, right?
It's freedom, though. It frees you.
Yep.
I don't have chains on me. I don't have that level of expectation that I got to go get up that rung.
Yep.
Whatever's going to come is going to come.
Yep. And if you maximize your gift in life, whether it's talking on the radio, whether it's art, whether it's playing football, whether it's being a teacher, or like the recognition comes to me from the people that you bless with your gift. That if you maximize your gift, then you're going to be a blessing to other people, and then that's going to turn around, and those people will be a blessing to you in ways that no award can give you, because there's a lot of people who are lonely who have a lot of awards. There are a lot of people who are they're not fulfilled, and they have every accolade that you could possibly imagine,
but they're still empty. That you're just getting a sense, folks. If you haven't heard them before on our program, you can listen to them on the Unafraid show. And you're still doing your other ones, right?
Yeah,
you're still doing okay.
Yep, yeah. Everything else is still going. So,
okay. But that's why we call him the minister. Yeah, you just got a little piece of that. That's why I give you that nickname. So, a pick came in.
Amari and Hampton.
So Justin Herbert gets some help in the backfield from North Carolina.
What are your thoughts on
that running
George?
back? They say he's like a Joe Mixon type running back. I don't know about that pick for the Chargers. I think I probably would. I don't know. Line would have been good for me.
I probably would have gone O-line. However, this kid has been dynamic, right?
Yep.
And there is something that they look at when they're like, okay, Jim Harbaugh, their head coach,
right? That kind of why it surprised me he didn't go line right away. But go ahead.
He knows what a good running back looks like.
Okay.
And he knows what a bell cow, because he's going to run the football.
Yeah.
And he must clearly feel like that his offensive line is good enough right now that the optimal move, because he wants to play defense and he wants to run the football. And now he has a guy that he can hand the ball off to a lot. who can catch the ball out of the backfield. And he feels that at this point, that's their best need, is to help Justin Herbert out by giving him somebody that they deem as special. Because running backs in general, I'm not a huge draft running backs early guy, because you can get, some
Really,
special
especially in
guys.
this draft.
Yeah. And you need more than one of them.
Right.
So outside of GT this year, I didn't necessarily see another first round running back, but and
plenty of opportunity there
Yeah.
as well. I think they lost J.K. Dobbins to free agency. Had another injury, I want to say. So opportunity there, and you got a guy on a contract that's solid. You don't have to pay a running back, obviously. That's nice. But I'm kind of with you. You could have drafted a guy in the second round, third round. Travion Henderson's going to be there in the second round.
Well,
he's a great player.
Here's the other part too, similar to the quarterback situation, right? Is that if you draft a running back toward the end of the first round, and you think he's special, now you don't have to pay him.
Right. You get him during his prime years for cheap.
Yep. And then you can franchise tag him if you want to.
Oh man.
And
get him for a couple more years. That's the playbook. You're right.
Yeah, and then draft another one.
Well, so this is a huge problem, I think, for the NFL, because you have guys.
By the way, Packers are on the clock.
I just see that. Like Derrick Henry is like criminally underpaid, in my opinion.
Nobody cares about it.
Yeah, we know.
No.
We got our bumper on our show. Don't talk Cubs or Packers. But like, do you see a
Danny sitting on pins and needles?
No, you know what? I'm actually not, because you know what? Because here's the thing. I know they're going to go defense, and they're probably going to go. They're probably going to go either. I think they're going to go edge. They could go linebacker. They could go any section of the defense right now.
Is this Stewart?
I don't know. Stewart's already off the board.
Oh, Shamar's off the board.
Shamar's off the board.
I think Connerly could go
up there.
Connerly
Oh, yeah. He went off when we were up there.
It could be. I was kind of surprised the Chargers didn't take Connolly, to be honest. I'm kind of surprised by that because of the Oregon ties, the comfortable feeling that Justin would have with somebody like we got Tosh Lupoy up on the stage with Kenyon. By the way, how good is Kenyon doing on this thing right now? Isn't he in his element right now?
He really is. Hey, it's actually so cool to see him. He's done some really good work on the Big Ten Network. Yep. He's done, and to see his growth really too. Like, he's much more polished now than he was at the beginning of last season, and to see it grow in this business is really cool.
So for the Ducks now moving forward, I want to we've been talking a lot about the draft, but you've been talking to a lot of head coaches. I've been watching. You've been bouncing all over the country, man. I don't know. You got all access. You got the all access pass.
More coming out too.
I'm excited to see it. Is there I have my own opinions, but is there a commonality that you're finding of success with these coaches that you're talking about in terms of an attribute or a trait or something that is a common thread that you can draw straight across from all these great coaches you've talked about?
Yes, consistency. And at the top of the pyramid, you would have, as far as the consistency, you would say Kyle Whittingham, and that interview is going to come out next Wednesday.
Excellent.
And Dabo Swinney, because they've been doing it the absolute longest. And those are guys that the other guys that I've interviewed, the Dan Lannings, the Kenny Dillinghams, that they have looked up and they've said, oh my gosh, we need to be like that. We need that level of consistency.
The Kirby Smarts of the
world.
Yep,
exactly. Where they're unwavered by a bad game, a bad day, and they understand how to build it, how to build a program, and also to keep that consistency. And really, one of the most important thing a head coach does is hiring his assistants. And that's one thing that Dan has shown that he can do. He went from Kenny Dillingham, hired Will Stein. So now he knows what a good offensive coordinator looks like. He's only had one defensive coordinator since he's been here, but the defense has been good. So there's nothing to complain about there. He has replaced wide receiver coaches. He has replaced running backs coaches. And that's when you know that you have a really good head coach, when he can identify and get good good assistant coaches.
Yeah, he's almost too good. Keep on hiring him from him.
Well, that's the price of success.
Right. That comes with the territory, right?
Yeah. When you get guys drafted into the NFL, when you get guys who play well, other coaches in other universities are going to want your talent.
Will Johnson's still on the board. You still have a couple of offensive tackles.
I was surprised that he's still on the board. Except for
this might be the pick right here.
He did not run a 40 though.
Well, it wasn't the speed sort of an issue. People were worried about that. His game tape.
No. It wasn't on tape.
It was just testing.
Yeah.
Well, this pick's coming in right now. You got Mark Murphy, who's retiring. I know there's way too much Green Bay information for you, Minister. So I'll try and tone it down a little bit.
I was like, he's retired. I was like, who would know he's retiring?
I do.
We do.
I'm a shareholder, man. I'm an NFL owner. You're talking to an NFL owner right now. I got
that
it up
is
on my
the
wall.
biggest scam in all of football.
I didn't buy it. My wife bought it for me for Christmas.
It's the biggest scam.
I think you're right because I've heard this before.
Because it's not worth anything.
No, it's not worth anything. But I think it's something meaningful to you, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that
No, hold on. See, I think it's the scam is that
pay money.
Yes, and that you feel like you are an owner,
right? But you don't have any decision making.
Correct. But I do think that it's not a scam in that it is investment. It's something that you care about. It's like getting Packers season tickets, which you have to wait forever for.
Yeah.
So it is very valuable. So there's not value in it. It's just the fact, yes, but it's a scam in that you have people running around saying, "Listen, I'm part owner of this thing."
You know, I say that sarcastically, right?
And you have no equity.
And those things sell out too.
Yes.
Every time they go up in offer, now as I'm vamping here because I want to see who this pick is for the Packers. I obviously think they
Look
go
how beautiful
defense.
it is there.
Well, they're out
They're
there
dragging this thing.
Yeah. Well, he's in front of the fans, man. He's got one last time.
Oh my gosh, Shador Sanders. No,
please no. You know what? You're going to be thumbing a taxi up to Portland here in a few minutes.
All right, they have.
We're not going to keep vamping away. So talk to me about your impression of where Oregon's program needs to take that next step. They've been taking these steps forward, and a big one last year, and then the disappointment. Matthew Golden, wide receiver.
So they picked a receiver in the first round. Whoa!
He's going to get knocked out. And I'm going to be hearing about this for the next 4 days. This is a great player.
Yes.
This is a great player.
Hey, Golden, he's wearing green and gold.
And he is fast, boy. Ooh,
hey, we need that with the
and now you can pair him with Watkins, who's a good possession receiver, and I mean, hopefully he can stay on the field.
Well, he's going to be recovering from an ACL until 3/4 of the way through the season.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, but even prior to that, he was having trouble staying.
This is very un-Green Bay-like in terms of going offense this early in the draft.
Well,
I'm just saying.
when you paid Jordan Love all the munties, and now you're going to say, we need to give him something to help him out, and they're probably surprised that he's still there. Do you know who the most mad person is right now?
Tell me.
Aaron Rodgers. Oh, now you draft a first round wide. Well, the difference, we don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback, sir.
That's right.
Well, I always
we have a really good quarterback. We don't have a Hall of Famer.
All right, I always love this because Jordy Nelson wasn't the first round pick. Devontae Adams wasn't the first round. Yeah, these are like first round talents that didn't go first round.
Yes.
So I always thought that was a funny conversation.
Yeah, exactly. The first crying because you're like, they don't draft. Well, we got you, Devontae Adams.
I know.
The guy who was the best
Donald
wide
Driver,
receiver in
Greg
the league.
Jennings.
Yes, you always had not only like good wide receivers, you had special wide receivers. So let's
going back many years.
They should be
Loftons,
congratulated for not having to draft him in the first round. They got other guys in the first round.
Absolutely. George Reister's joining us. We call him the minister here from the club room at Autzen Stadium as we continue. They got I know Tosh is up there. Is that Will as well up there? They've got the coordinators up there with Kenyon right now as we're winding through the first round. We've only got 8 more picks left in this first round.
Come on, Josh Connerly.
All right, Minnesota's on the clock next, and this would be another great spot for Josh Connerly Jr. So Derek Harmon, if you're just joining us,
need
off the board. Yes, they do.
Lord have mercy.
And they are rolling all in on J.J. McCarthy at quarterback. So let's see
Simmons? Simmons is still on the board too.
Yep. So there's still plenty of good talent out there, but I want to focus this back a little bit more on
one tackle drafted so far this year.
3.
There's 3.
There's been 3.
You got to scroll up a little bit more. We did this count, and it was amazing in the first
Campbell,
20 picks.
And
I forgot about Mimbo. Yeah, jeez.
So Matthew
They have him
Golden's
talking?
Matthew Golden's singing to the crowd right now
Awesome.
at Lambeau Field, the first round pick. Oh yeah, I wish we had the volume.
I
up
wish
on
we
this.
did too. We'll have to
get
watch it
back.
later.
So, Minister, I want to continue the thought and the question about Oregon and taking that next step, and
Yes.
Dan Lanning, what he's building, and what the I think the word culture is thrown around too much, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, what Dan Lanning has instilled in this team and the way they approach their work every single day. The expectations can never be too high, I don't think, for this program. So where do you see Oregon in 2025-26?
This is a very important year in terms of the step that Oregon just took. And it's showing itself in recruiting, because now Oregon is not just recruiting some elite players. They're trying to recruit an entire class of elite players. That's the difference. Is that instead of having, oh, hi, nice 5-star, which is, and then a bunch of 4 stars. Now you are trying to recruit an entire class of blue chip players. That's the difference. And then the biggest step that you're going to see from Oregon this year, I believe, from the previous years, is they were less active in the transfer portal this year. So all these young whippersnappers, all the young hotshot recruits, get on the field and play, bro. If you look at Ohio State's team last year, outside of the quarterback, Will Howard,
Yep.
and the safety who transferred from Georgia.
I know
Number
exactly
2.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Outside
Downs?
of them, there weren't really
Downs,
Caleb
Downs.
Caleb Downs, and then Judkins at running back.
Transfer. Yep.
Yeah, they were homegrown, especially on defense.
On defense. Yeah.
Yes, on defense.
They showed that guy
Everybody
was 10 out of 11 or something like that. Yeah.
Yes, and the only one was Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
That's how you win a
Who's
national
that guy?
championship. Yes, you are supposed to go to the transfer portal if you have a need, or you have, like somebody elite becomes available, and you're like, bro, we can't pass this up. But now you're going to see more of the young guys play, and then that recruiting will just start stacking on top of each other, and you'll start seeing less and less activity in the transfer portal, which would be better for them.
And doesn't it feel like Dan Lanning has a great feel for it in terms of the guys he did bring in this year are like going to be studs? Thieneman, I'm thinking about.
Decorian Moore, kid.
Yeah.
I heard about him after the first practice. They said, "Oh,
more.
Yes, he will be starting." They're like, "This is a starter."
I'm going to give you a dark horse as well, and I think a kid who's poised, whether it's on special teams or getting to see the field as a wide receiver 3 or in special packages, is Gary Bryant Jr.
Yes, that's actually exciting because he's a veteran, and
that's what I'm talking about. And
he's
he's had some ups and downs already.
Yep.
Here.
Oh, so
Donovan Jackson goes to the Vikings.
Lineman.
So they did go offensive lineman, which is
went to a guard from Ohio State, Donovan Jackson, for the Minnesota Vikings, which brings who else now? We're up to pick number 25, and
The
it's the
Giants.
Houston Texans.
they just
on
traded
the
the Giants have that pick now.
Oh, Giants just took the pick. So
Do you
Giants
think they could go
Giants,
Sanders?
Well,
Could this be a Sanders?
Oh yes, this could definitely be a Sanders pick.
look at you. All grown up.
This
and
would
stuff.
make sense.
Yeah, well, we'll see here in a moment.
I don't know. Schefter looks pretty
So
excited.
what did the Texans give up? Because now that drops them. They have no first-round picks. So, and the Giants just got their second first-round pick. So let's see when they bring it up on the board what
is going to be.
what the Giants had to give
they
up
look a
for it.
little too. They look a little too happy right now.
Is that John Mara, who with the big Cheshire cat
Oh,
grin on
and,
there right now?
Yes, but I got to tell you, I don't trust him though.
Well, I think the New York fans don't trust that leadership right now after letting Saquon walk out the door, and they were like, well, anybody else but anybody in our division. They're going to do shout here in a second as well. So that camera's off, by the way, just so you know.
That's
I don't know if
definitely
the
a quarterback.
battery's out. No, we're good. I'm just telling Justin some technical stuff. So I think it very well could be, guys. It very well could be a quarterback. So let's see if Shador's. They're not showing. They're blocking him a little bit to see if Shador was on the phone, because that's always that telltale sign, right?
Yeah.
And there's Dion in the background just to give you a little play-by-play
Oh,
of the
Gilly's
team.
there with him.
Yeah, this very well could. I mean, they're all thinking about it. New York, big city, big lights, bright lights. But
This is Jackson Dart now.
You know the.
Oh, hold up.
It could be Jackson.
No
Dart.
way they go Jackson Dart over Shador, right?
He's just getting pictures, and he's got to get a change in eyewear as well. That's all I'm going to say. He's not pulling off that look right now. So that would be interesting to see what's coming up. But I'm also interested in, you know, the way this is going to play out for Oregon in the coming year as well, because I agree with you, Minister, it's now about taking another step forward. You cannot take even a half step back anymore with the way and the day and age of what college sports is right now.
I want to properly level set and expectation set. Okay. Is that do not expect 13-0 every year. 11-2 won the national championship.
Agreed.
That there are going to be times where you lose in the regular season. But I do believe that the expectation should be playoff every single year.
So we fixing the playoff here in 2026. We're not going to fix it in 2025. I mean 2025, 2026. We're not going to fix it then. They're going to start thinking about the reseed first of all. They got that all think figured out. But don't we need to have one more home game for the higher seed and stop with this foolishness of 3 weeks on the road?
Yes. There should not be 25 days in between a team playing a football game, because it's disadvantageous to those teams. All 4 teams started slowly that had buys, and that's something noticeable. And you know that we trust Dan Lanning. I was talking to the players. They're like, yo, we are practicing hard right now. Like, the practices have been good. They've been hard. But when you're not playing, you fall out of that routine. And a lot of it has to do with your circumstances and timing as well, because you have, Ohio State. The best thing that happened to them was losing to Michigan. If they beat Michigan,
in hindsight, yes, it definitely was.
Yeah, because now all of a sudden that was like, whoa. We gotta block everything out. Let's lock in. And then they went and curb stomped Tennessee, and then kind of finding out that there was more drama behind the scenes as well
with Tennessee.
Yeah,
with Nico.
Yep. And I actually had a chance to talk to Nico's dad for like 45 minutes on what
Today's Thursday.
Today's Thursday.
No. So this was Sunday the 13th.
Wow.
Talked to him for about 45 minutes. We were both in Salt Lake City at a volleyball tournament. And I've known his dad for years. We got a chance to talk, and he shared with me his version of the events.
Okay.
I had heard from some people at Tennessee their version of the events. I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle.
Always does.
I think that while Tennessee captured the moment and it looked like they won the day, like they won the media cycle, they were not innocent in this either. And I think it has created a tough situation for Nico at UCLA, because
he's really in a no-win situation at UCLA.
It's such a short period of time. It's only 4 months until the season, till kickoff. 4 months.
Right.
And now we're expecting him to master the offense with only fall camp practices. Okay, yeah, right. You're only going to be playing with about 65% of the deck. Then you got Joey Aguilar, who had signed there from App State. Now he goes to Tennessee. Now he's playing on short time too. Both of these quarterbacks are in a very, very tough situation, and it's hard on them.
The pick is in, and we're just awaiting the announcement of the Giants pick. They trade up. They take Houston's pick. And again, we still haven't seen what the deal is. Maybe they're going to flash it up.
They're
there
just going
in a
back
second.
between these
They're
two
going
quarterbacks.
between Jackson Dart. The TV
He's
is
too happy. This is Jackson Dart.
You think this is Jackson?
Yes, this is Jackson.
He's smiling.
Man.
He's looking at the TV. His dad's looking at him. That's in
He's got a
Kaysville,
little smirk
Utah.
there for sure.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to find out in a moment.
Jackson
This is live television here as the first round of the NFL draft is commencing, and we're flying through this thing, Minister. We're going to get you up to Portland here before midnight for sure. But what a great crowd! What a great event as well, and a collection of former Oregon players who had some of the coaches here as well. I think doing this instead of doing a National Signing Day event, I think was a hit, and I think the fans proved that out as well.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. I can't wait. I do think that this is going to be Jackson Dart, which is going to make me want to throw up.
Okay, so do I need to turn your microphone down? Because we
No.
are still on YouTube, so we still, all the parameters of what we can say and can't say on
Yes.
YouTube. Okay, so there it is. It's Jackson Dart.
Wow.
So,
so your immediate thought. You said you want to throw up.
Okay.
Yeah, I have people pointing to the screen right now with quizzical looks on their faces.
So I got a chance to talk to one of the preeminent college trainers.
Okay.
Right. And I've seen Jackson Dart up close and personal a lot, right? Up close and personal a lot. And kid's good. I do believe that he's not a day one starter kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the preeminent quarterback trainer who's been right about all the quarterbacks the last few years. He told me 2 years ago that the quarterback that everybody felt like it was overlooking was the man for the Houston Texans. And that turned out to be a phenomenal pick.
Stroud?
Yeah, Stroud. And he said that out of all the quarterbacks in this draft, he thinks that Jackson Dart is the one that outside of Shedeur and Cam Ward that he deems can be special. But the issue is if they put him in trying to make him a day one starter, this ain't gonna go well, I don't think. And the Giants have done a poor job of managing their roster
assets
and everything else. So we'll see. I hope for Jackson Dart's sake that this works out very well, and I hope for Kayvon Thibodeau, because I never want people to be in a bad spot.
Waste away, yeah.
But you do have to understand that this is risky.
Well, they do have Russell Wilson, right, to potentially start in the early part of the season, the veteran.
Well, what I'm going to find interesting, where the narrative's going to flip to, is how the Giants administration sells this to the New York fan base and media, where they say, we traded up, we gave away some stuff. And again, we still haven't seen it. Okay. But we still could have had Shedeur Sanders, who was probably, now, as you said, Minister, that Jackson Dart probably going to be a pretty good NFL quarterback sometime in the future. Shedeur Sanders had more, in my opinion, more ability, and I am not a huge Shedeur Sanders, to be able to go out there and make more impact immediately than Jackson Dart.
I would definitely agree with that. I do believe that Shedeur is more polished, and I do think that his confidence has rubbed people the wrong way on some level. But the reality is that I think that it does have some, like, for some reason people don't like Deion as much. And but here's what I can tell you. You can't question either of their work ethic. You can't question whether either of them loves football. You can't question, you can't question whether they're going to study, whether they'll take mentorship. You can't question any of those things. It's almost like when people don't like LeVar Ball, and you're saying, hold up, but let's take a step back from the I'm better than Jordan and all the all the
nonsense, the hyperbole.
Yeah. This is a dad who was there for his kids, helped them, worked out with them all the time. You never see him abusing them, talking bad to them, anything like that, just constantly trying to build them up, similar to what Amon-Ra St. Brown's dad did with his kids, and people didn't like him either. So there's something to it of when there's a father involved that does have some of the gravitas around him and stuff like that people are turned off by it, when in reality that's what we want. Like we want active fathers. We want people who
engaged.
Are cared.
Yeah. And I think the interesting thing with LeVar, at least, is all of his sons are they're not super outspoken. It's sort of just transferred from what people think about the dad to the kids. And obviously the NBA players, when he came in, I'm talking about Lonzo, like kind of went after him, and there was all that stuff with the shoes and all that. But I mean, obviously,
and both of them are generally well liked by players.
Yes,
yeah, and that's probably the more
and Shador's a little
important thing.
different, right? I mean, he's a little bit more brash, if you will.
Yeah.
But how do you think this will affect his confidence now that he is seemingly going to tweet or go to the second round?
He tweeted out, "I'm ready for whatever. I'm ready for whatever today brings," and this is going to make the kid stronger.
Well, we talked about having when we had Jeremiah Johnson sitting here and TJ Ward, they had chips on their shoulders before they went to their first professional practice for different reasons. For Jeremiah, it was like, nobody picked me.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I got hurt. Okay. And for TJ, it's like, what are you talking about? I didn't go in the first round.
Yeah.
So for different reasons, they had a chip on their shoulder. I think this is just giving Shedeur Sanders all the motivation he's going to need, that whoever's going to take him, and every time he plays a team that didn't take him, it's going to be hell on earth. He's going to try and rain holy fire down on top of them, and he's got the skill and the tool set to be able to do it. It's about getting it, and that's why I said Pittsburgh was probably going to be the best situation for him with Mike Tomlin, with the weapons that they brought in the offseason.
Don't be surprised if you see them trade back up into the first round. But I want to talk about this James Pierce pick.
He was just taken by the Falcons. Yep, go ahead.
So they also drafted at number 15 Jalen Walker out of Georgia. So they are planning on playing good defense around there.
We've got Michael Penix. You got to give him something. You got to get the ball back.
They
to
are
him.
planning on playing, and Pierce is a guy who people were predicting to go higher in the draft, and it's interesting because his pressure rate was, I think, the best in the country, and but people had such high expectations coming into the season that they weren't met. But he was highly disruptive. So it's one of those, he's a victim now, even though, I mean, are you a victim in the first round of the draft?
Would you have been a victim, George, in the first round of the draft?
No.
Okay.
It's almost like he was a victim of the
production side, the sacks versus pressures.
Yes, of the success is that people had such high expectations that when the stats didn't match it, but the film still did.
Yeah,
they were like, oh well, but these stats and
right.
And then I'm telling you, that kid is gonna come out and be a hell of a player.
Well, it sounds almost kind of like not quite the same, but like Jadeveon Clowney when he got so well regarded after sophomore season.
One play
against
Michigan. I mean, it was a hell of a play. But when you turned on Jadeveon Clowney's film, you were like, okay, he's a good player. But said nobody. Well, I'm sorry, not said nobody, because somebody said he should be the first pick in the draft. But you looked at him and you said, he's a good player, but he doesn't play as physical against the run as you would like, and motor not always, and but the hype surrounding it. And that's one of the things about the draft is sometimes the hype and the pomp and circumstance surrounding a name can either work positively or negatively against you.
All right, George, we're going to let you go because you got to go squeeze some flesh with all these people that brought up. You just come on back down around this direction because you and I are going to be on our way up to Portland after this. All right, here he goes, the minister, George Reister, joining us here, the Danny and Justin show. You want to get that one going back again, buddy, then we're going to be able to do a wide shot, and I'll be able to throw it out there. We'll take a little bit of a break as we get more picks in as we roll on here for a Thursday night, the draft. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more picks to come in. The Falcons are actually 6 more picks to come in as the – is that one not going to come on? We're dead? All right. Well, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back here on the Danny and Justin YouTube show on Fox Sports Eugene as well. We're going to go off mic for a second. All right, we're back. Danny and Justin here live on YouTube. YouTube Live. The Danny and Justin radio program is live on the old television as we're here in the club room at Autzen Stadium as the crowd starting to disperse a bit. The excitement of the first round of the NFL draft, and we did have one duck that got picked up in the first round as heading to it was Derek Harmon
to the Steelers,
to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The pick we thought that Shedeur Sanders might go.
And, well, I was probably more in that boat than anybody else, but I thought if he was going to go anywhere in the first round, it would have been to the Steelers. And then we had some buzz there for just a few moments where the Giants trade with the Texans. So Houston drops out of the first round. They don't have any picks in the first round, right? And the Giants get their second first-round pick. And so we're sitting here with the minister, George Reister, and going, well, hey, this could be Shedeur Sanders. I mean, and the TV had it, back and forth. Here's Dart's family. Here's Shedeur Sanders' family going back and forth. And lo and behold, it ends up being Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
Going to New York.
Does it feel like Daniel Jones all over again?
That
was a pick 6, though.
I'm going to sit back and kind of contemplate this one for a little bit because the George as well, and I trust George because he evaluates talent a lot deeper than I do, is he doesn't dislike Jackson Dart, but he just says if you want a quarterback that's going to step in there immediately, that's not Jackson Dart.
Guy.
And I just threw out the comment, then he's laid it up there for him. He says, I do believe this, that Shedeur Sanders probably had more skill tools and
Tyleik
Williams, defensive tackle from Ohio State, goes to the Lions. And the Lions go in defense, and with a new defensive coordinator that they promote internally after losing Aaron Glenn. So that's interesting for Dan Campbell's squad. So the Lions go defense. But, when you take a look at their offensive side of the football, I don't think there's a whole lot of things.
And their defense got decimated last year. That was the thing. They had so many injuries. Now it makes sense to go into that well again and get some defensive players. Just look at the thing about the Texans again in their trade. Yeah. So they only trade back into the second pick of the second round. So realistically, they're only trading back like 5 or 6 slots. Now it does become a second rounder technically, but I do think there is something to be said about a trade like that. It's not sexy, but I think that it can be a really good move. Now they have 2 second-round picks, including, as I mentioned, the second pick in the second round.
So did we get the entire package of what the Giants gave up to get that pick? So that's the other thing. It's like in that first round where Jacksonville.
They gave up a first and a fourth and a fifth.
I mean, Jacksonville and Cleveland swapped
to move
picks,
up 3 spots.
Right. Cleveland banked a few picks and another first rounder, but who knows what they're going to do with it next year. But probably mess it up. But the Browns, that was the first big splash. But that's kind of where I want to see what the Texans got back from the Giants. So lay it out.
All right. So Texans got back pick 34, 99, and a 2026 third-round pick. So basically got 2 third-round picks and moved back
for a late first round. So again, that also then tells me that they just weren't in love with anybody that they said, we have to have this player. We don't think they're going to be there early second round.
There's like 6 guys on the board here that we're okay with. Let's just trade back and get 2 third-round picks for the next couple of years. So I don't hate it.
So let's get caught up on some of the picks that you missed as we were taking our little break. Malachi Starks, the safety from Georgia, went to the Ravens at pick number 27, and we just said Tyleik Williams from Ohio State, defensive tackle, goes to the Lions. Commanders, Bills, Chiefs, Eagles are the only ones left here in this first round, and the Commanders are on the clock with about 3 minutes left before that pickup comes in, and then the Bills, then the Chiefs, then the Eagles. So again, we'll just say I'm a bit surprised that Josh Connerly has dropped this far.
I am really surprised. We were here in pick 10, maybe.
So either the other evaluations, came in, or again,
other offensive offensive tackles have been taken. So clearly, it's
pure to me. It's purely still a need and a situational thing, and that's where you can't put too much stock in. Well, there must be something wrong with this player. It is about the need and the fit within the organization you're going to go into, according to the coaching and the management staff of that organization. So in other words, they sit and evaluate.
Ultimately, and I think every player would say this, is that you'd rather get taken lower to a better fit than to go higher and make a little bit more money in the short term, but go to a team that you're just not going to be successful at. So I think the biggest thing for Josh is to find that fit. Obviously, offensive line, the schemes are different for every team. And so, maybe some of these other teams that have taken offensive linemen and those tackles have ssit there and said, hey, I think that this other guy is a better fit for our team. I think Josh Connerly is going to be a great NFL player. I don't see why. I'm going to be surprised if he goes second round, but still opportunity here with 4 picks left for one of these teams. And, hey, if you went to one of these 4 teams, it'd be in a pretty good spot.
So the Commanders pick is in. The Bills will be on the clock next, and then followed by the Chiefs and the Eagles, and we'll be done with the first round here. And by the way, this little experiment for us has been a blast. And I want to thank all of my fellow Oregon Club board members for helping us out. By the way, big shout out to Justin Fisher, who was coordinating all the players and getting all those guys here with us.
Man,
that was
smooth.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And all the guys were great. And if you missed it, it'll be up on the YouTube channel. You can go back and watch the over 3 hours now of tape. So Justin, when we start out, we don't go small, man. We go big. It's going to be almost a 3.5 hour extravaganza that we're going to have on the Danny and Justin radio show YouTube channel. So I gotta stop saying radio show, but it's just still us, and we're right over there at Fox Sports other way, Fox Sports Eugene. I got to do the old reverse thing, over there. No, that's all right. You don't do that up there. It's better over there. There you go, right there. That's where you can hear us every weekday from. We are so not
Fox
good
Sports.
at this, right? We're gonna get better at it, I swear, folks. But all the folks that have chimed in, that have been texting, we didn't really utilize. We didn't talk about the chat too much, but that's okay. But the Commanders pick is in, and it's up on the big board. And could this be Josh Connerly?
Heard some cheers.
Debo Samuel, Laramie Tunsil, Javon Kinlaw, and Will Harris, some of the big pieces that
so they
the
did
Commanders
add a tackle, so that would be a little bit of a step away from getting Connerly.
But those are pieces that the Commanders brought in the offseason via trade. So the Commanders with their pick in, and we've got a bunch of Duck fans staring around at the television. So the pick is they're heading to Virginia Beach, Virginia. It is Mike Green.
Nope, that is just the best available.
Oh, the best still out there, and he is what do they call him? An edge?
Yeah, Mike Green, I believe, is from. Is he not from smaller school, Bowling Green? Maybe
that would make sense.
Marshall.
Well, there you go. The Thundering Herd.
The Thundering Herd.
Marshall. That's one of the best nicknames ever. So this has been a lot of fun, and I know we're going to do it again next year. If we have this event like this next year, we are definitely going to be here. We've learned a few things. We brought you along.
There he is,
Josh Connerly.
Josh Connerly.
There
you go.
Josh Connerly is going to be a Washington Commander. So he fell a little bit
for him,
but he found his way into the big leagues, and there's the celebration. I think Dan Lanning had to end up getting on a plane, so he's still not there. But Josh Connerly's family is ecstatic
That's
up there.
Awesome. He gets to be a first-round pick. There's something to be said about that. You heard TJ Ward talking about, I was a first-round pick. And Josh Connerly can say, I was a first-round pick in the NFL draft.
And what a great job. And patience and all those emotions that he was going through, and he was watching.
And listen, when we were talking at the end of the season about Josh Connerly and, hey, maybe he could come back, but, it never made sense for coming back. It was always going to be a first-round pick. We're looking over here at this player comparison. They got Michael Orr, which is a pretty lofty comparison, but Josh Connerly, 21 years old still, a lot of potential. He was really a stalwart on that left side of the offensive line for the Ducks for 3 seasons.
And one of the anchors, and he's going to look to make his mark.
Think about what he did against Abdul Carter in that Penn State game in the Big Ten Championship. I'm wearing the shirt, by the way. He absolutely shut down Abdul Carter in that game.
He did. So what? And I don't think there's any better way to end the program right there on the high note.
Yeah,
you know what? We're going to Costanza it. We're going to drop the mic and we're going to go out on a high. So that's been over 3 hours of coverage here from the club at Autzen. It's been a great evening. Again, congratulations to the newest NFL Ducks, and there's going to be more coming as Josh Connerly just announced as the pick for the Washington Commanders. And also big shout out to Derek Harmon, who is now going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. The Steel Curtain, going to bring it down again, the next alliteration of that. Buddy, nice job. We got here. We survived. Got to meet a lot of great players.
Man.
Thanks again to TJ Ward, Jeremiah Johnson, Chase Cota, Brady Breeze,
Ed Dixon,
the minister, George Reister, Dante Rosario, who was able to stop by. And for all the fans that were here, and of course our boy Kenyon Barner, who did a great job on the emceeing here. Thanks for everything, folks. Appreciate y'all. Be well. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the radio program at 2 p.m. Pacific time, the fastest 60 minutes in Sport Talk. We'll have a lot to talk about tomorrow on the radio show. For Justin, I'm Dad. You going to do peace? Peace out. Peace. You're going to hold it there? There you go. Peace.